Welcome back to the halftime show. I'm Jeannie, joined with Fox and Iconic. Thank you, Iconic. I know you have a game like literally in a bit, so we really do appreciate it for putting us through here. We're going to be playing tic-tac-toe while you guys are asking questions in the chat. So, Fox, you can go first. I know you're coached by our producer, Mikkel, behind the scenes. So if you lose this, it's going to be a disappointment.
I think I'm going to try hard for the first game and then see like where Dave goes on...
Can you guys like talk and play at the same time? Oh,
we can talk and play
is
at
he
the
gonna
same time. Okay.
I feel like at this point, no one's actually gonna win. What's more difficult, a game of Siege or a game of tic-tac-toe?
I think it's a little...
No winners.
No winners here.
Just a stalemate.
Stalemate.
He's got you figured out.
It's all
impressive.
Good. I thought I had the method.
How are you feeling about the upcoming game, Iconic? You're taking it just game by game?
Yeah, you know, got to get a 2-0, so just got to go out there and get the job done.
All right. You sound confident. That's good.
Does it stress you out that it has to be a 2-0? No mistakes?
I mean...
Probably not.
It's all in good. It's all in good, you know? It just doesn't really matter to me.
You got the shades on, though. Are you tired or something?
Nah. I just always have the shades on. Night, day, it could be sunny out, it could be rainy out, it could be dark out, shades are on.
Always handy.
Yeah.
Respect that. I mean, can he start this time, though?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, start.
Yeah. So first question is actually for Iconic, and it's from, how do you keep a PMA during rough times in a LAN? So a positive mental attitude.
I mean, it's all about, I guess, just staying in the moment and, you know, just taking like the losses as lessons and just knowing that like you have opportunity in the next game to always do better. And it's always not the end of the world either, you know. It's just one event this year, so got to learn from it and be back.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Exactly.
Is that how you feel about it as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen games where you're up 6-1, 6-0, and people come back and...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that with W7M Liquid.
I've seen some crazy things happen. All you got to do is just believe.
All right. Do you believe in yourself? Be able to close this one out, though,
you're
realistically?
You're throwing me off with these ones. You're throwing me off with these ones.
All right. No, this is going to be exactly the same thing. No winners. You're actually throwing the game. Are you match fixing?
Oh my God!
How much did they pay you? How much did they pay you? Nah.
Oh shit! Oh shoot!
You can't say that. Well, you got one win on the board. Is there any question that you want Fox to answer? Just because you won, you could just like throw him under the bus and ask him something. You don't have to.
He's probably not thinking about me like in the moment, you know? He's probably...
Nah, he thinks about
You're my hero. That's it.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Very nice guy. Okay.
All right.
In terms of like being an IGL, the question here is, what's the most important part about being one?
I guess the calmness and the preparation. You know, you're not always calm in the times, but you kind of have to display that calmness to the teammates. So it's just mainly about kind of putting others before you, and then just kind of always staying minded on the next round and not getting caught in the past.
Is that like a shared philosophy between IGLs, or is it more like every IGL approaches it in a different way?
I think everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
I agree with that, though. I think you have to be confident. Even if you don't believe, even if you're worried, if your IGL loses his calm, then how is everyone else supposed to be confident in the calls?
Okay, that's fair. In terms of like...
You start, you got it.
Oh, what a gentleman. In terms of MAT and being put in Group C, what were your expectations initially coming into the tournament?
You know, to win, but you know, you always want to get what you want. So we played some good matches, some tough matches, some tight matches. Little things led to the losses, but we're ready here we learn from them, ready to go.
Fox, in terms of like your position when you used to be a player, like back in the day.
It wasn't that far back.
That wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that far back.
I know. In terms of like when you used to be a
great.
player and like in terms of your back against the wall with your team, how would you have approached it?
I believe that teams play better when their back's against the wall because you have nothing to lose for. You have nothing to be stressed over. If you lose, you make a mistake, that's it, it's over. And I'm sure nobody wants to feel that flight home, you know, after they fly all the way here to play, especially in front of a crowd, and to just lose it. Nobody wants to feel that. So when everything's on the line, I mean, you tend to play better.
How was your flight actually, Iconic, down here? Was it a good flight? Was it a long flight?
It was rather,
long.
It was long, but it was rather uncomfortable. But I just kind of survived.
All right.
I made it through.
Have you done anything fun so far in Sao Paulo? You had a chance to explore?
Yeah, we were like 20 minutes away from here, like up like in like kind of like the hills, but it was cool. You know, we got dinner a few places, went to the malls. We didn't go sightseeing too much, but it was nice city.
Enjoying the weather, I assume as well.
Yeah.
I just want to look at this from the whole holistic view of the competition. Right now, G2 particularly are looking really strong. Coming into this, who do you think, or with the performances you've seen so far, actually, who do you think are the most like top 4 teams?
I have no idea. Like, I feel like it's all about matchups, you know? Like, I feel like groups just like, I mean, it just depends who they play in playoffs, the winner's bracket line, the loser bracket line, and just who plays who. So I feel like anyone could beat anybody on a given day because the siege right now being played is so tight. It comes down to like the minuscule mistakes that you make. So I feel like it just depends on the teams and their weaknesses and their strengths. So
Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that. Nobody saw on the stream, but I got him full box 200 right now.
Yeah. He was not paying attention because he was answering questions, man. That's not fair.
yeah.
It feels bad, man.
Why
Why are you going 2 turns at the same time?
We kind of, well, I mean, I won either way.
How's it? Does it check?
That was a,
How
that
does
was
it
a
feel to
1-1.
finally win something?
Okay. Doesn't feel too good when you put it in that context.
Okay, fine. How does it feel to win something?
Well, it's still 1-1. So, I mean, we get
you
a
haven't
tie.
won yet. You guys want to go
little tie-up.
again?
We can.
Do you guys want to like speed run it?
We can speedrun it.
Like,
You go first.
bam, bam, just bang it out. Wow, he's actually letting you go first. You know, it would be really lovely to have a caster right now to like narrate over this, like give us a breakdown.
Oh.
Never mind.
And we're tied. I feel like we go
Yeah.
back and forth all day.
Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Anything so far like ahead of the game, Iconic, that you want to say, whether it's to us or whether it's to the fans watching at home? I think this is a very rare opportunity where we have a player ahead before the game. So we already got your opinion on it, but anything you want to say to those at home?
I mean, just cheer for us, you know? We're going to come in here with our hearts out, and we're going to 2-0. So simple as that.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that, indeed. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. We're going to be coming back, actually, with the matchup, which is your game. So make sure that you guys tune in for that. We'll be heading off to a break, and we'll be back shortly.
Well, we are into the second half of day 5, the last day of group stages. Look how beautiful this city is. I tell you what, it has been picturesque ever since we got here, and so have the games. But 2 more people that are joining me on the desk that I would say are quite picturesque themselves. Look at them. Ollie, Jesse, how are we?
Oh, picturesque desk altogether. The 3 of us, I'd say, Manic.
Sometimes.
Very kind. Very kind indeed, I think. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, the host, right?
That's good. That's a good intro. I like that.
So, have either of you been able to watch the games this morning, or am I going to throw you under the bus completely?
No, we watched a couple of the games in the green room, didn't we? We
did.
We saw the G2 one. I think that's...
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough one. I can't lie. It was
good
not...
one for you, good one for me, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A little bit of heartbreak, and I think the Bliss game might still be going on, so I'm obviously that's the game I care about.
Yeah.
G2 and Dark Zero, all you want, but yeah, I'll take that Bliss game any day of the week. But the game that we're here to focus on, the most important game actually, M80 taking on Team Liquid. This, and there is no way I can understate this, this is an elimination match in the group stages.
Absolutely. M80 have been really, really struggling so far through these groups. They haven't really been getting off to a great start. That means that they are currently sitting in last place, but they have the opportunity to jump over Liquid today. Their only issue is they need a clean 2-0 to get that jump ahead and force Liquid to be eliminated from this tournament.
That's not something they've been able to do so far. They haven't picked up a 2-0 win. Liquid, they're coming into this with pressure, but it's far less pressure. They only need one map, and that really is the crux of it today.
Look, Team Liquid at the moment, they have looked a little bit shaky in groups. We can all say that. I don't think we need to hide this conversation. It hasn't been the greatest time for them, Jesse.
It certainly hasn't. I mean, the key thing has been their attacks. They are the 3rd worst attacking team when it comes to the Six Invitational. When it comes to converting on attack, I should be clear. They really haven't been great at taking those opening picks and converting them to wins. They've really been struggling in that aspect. And I think when you take a look at Liquid, I mean, really, their defenses are solid. They're doing a pretty good job on that, and that's been the whole tournament. But in particular, when it comes to that offensive half, sometimes their executes are really good, but when it comes to the early game, when it comes to roam clearing, I've seen a lot of problems.
Is it good enough to say that you've got good defenses in a defense-sided meta?
Probably not.
We are in the most defensive-sided SI we've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. That is just the expected outcome at this point. It's those attacks, as you've mentioned, trying to single out players. They've almost regressed into that old Liquid of when they used to have Sexy Cake on the roster. And that's not necessarily a good thing because they were trying to get away from those executes. They were trying to get away from that plant-focused siege. They were trying to play more split. They were trying to get themselves in, clear those roamers, deal with the problems.
I want to highlight Lugonis because I think he has been maybe their best player on attack, and you wouldn't notice it statistically, but when you take a look at the pushes that they're going, for the executes, they've been pretty good. When they can get around a bomb site, whether that's late into the round or early, going for a bit of a rush sometimes, Lugonis is very good at finding the right opportunity, droning out the site, beelining it for the plants, and getting it down. He's got a ton of plants so far at this event, but it's, again, that early round where we're seeing those issues. They're really not finding a good opportunity to get those opening picks and set themselves up for those executes. Yeah. So while they are good when we see them, they're far too rare right now.
Look, if we're saying that Team Liquid has been struggling throughout group stages, there's a team who unfortunately are copying it even worse. M80 are yet to find a win at all. They've got 1 point. And who did that 1 point come from? Bleed, who everyone kind of were umming and ahhing as the weakest in the group. But this is where we're at now. They are facing straight up stone cold elimination.
That 1 point could be huge though. That 1 point could be all that they need. However, is that going to happen against Liquid? Are they going to get the clean 2-0 win that they need today? It looks like a very tall order for the Siege that we've seen. There was a very emotionally charged game against Bleed yesterday. It went right down to the wire, and I think Bleed probably won a lot of fans during that best of 3.
We've seen some positives and negatives out of M80, of course. I think that we have seen some key players popping off. Spoit's been all right throughout this tournament. He's been positive overall. Gomez as well. I think those have been the 2 players who have looked the strongest and the most consistent throughout their games. The problem for me comes on their entry. 44% opening pick overall for M80 is just not where you need to be in a tournament as competitive as this when you're trying to become the best in the world. And Gomez, although he's got a strong overall rating, a strong overall KD, his entry has really been lacking. 4 and 14 when it comes to the opening picks. That is nowhere near good enough for a top top team like M80, who should be competing for playoffs, competing to go deep. Instead, they're trying to stay alive.
Well, we've talked about the head-to-head of the teams. Let's have a look at two individual players, Ollie. I know you wanted to talk about Spoit and Volps. How do you feel like both of them have been matching up this tournament?
Well, I mean, to sort of piggyback off the back of your point, Jesse, opening picks has really been something that we wanted to try and focus on. So we've got a graphic that we're going to bring up that just helps to illustrate that a little bit more. You can see there, we're putting Volps against Spoit. Is it the direct comparison that you would usually expect? Potentially not. But just look at the difference in the opening. Volps currently has got a 20 to 15 opening. Spoit, on the other hand, he's sitting there in those negatives. If there's one player that you want to activate, if there's one player you want to give resource to and say, go and do your job, it's got to be Spoit.
Much more consistent, much more well-rounded, I think, in terms of both attack and defense. Again, there have been some issues for both teams on the offense, but I think when you're looking at those entries, you are favoring Team Liquid a little bit more, so that'll be a battle to watch for sure.
Well, if the attacks have been struggling, then it'll be interesting to have a look at the vetoes. Speaking of which, let's dive into the maps now. Bank, Oregon, Cafe, and Border all banned out to kickstart this.
Yeah, so important to note in this best of three, Liquid really just need to win one game to stave off elimination. So they're really just hunting for one map that they can lock down, and their best bet is going to be Clubhouse. They played it twice so far at the Six Invitational, a win over Virtus Pro 7-4, and a loss to W7M 7-3. So not a flawless map for them, not a map that they are expected to completely crush on, but it's what they're going for. And then in return, M80 will go for the Skyscraper. Kind of an even map for them. 2 plays in Stage 2, an 8-6 loss to Wildcard, followed by an 8-6 win over the NAL. They've yet to play it here at SI. So that'll be a map that they're maybe trying to pull up for the first time, surprise Team Liquid with, and get a big win on.
It's a classic best of 3. You just need to win your map. You don't even need to win the decider. It really goes even a little bit more simple than that. Liquid just need to win one map. They just need to take the Clubhouse. The Skyscraper is a very middle preference pick for them. So it really could go either way if it gets there, and it puts even more pressure onto M80 for that first map pick.
And I will say quickly as well for Team Liquid, if they do 2-0 this, they do lock in the upper bracket versus lower brackets. So there are still a lot of implications if they can get that second win. It's not like it's completely nullified for them, but the key thing, the most important thing, staying alive, they only need 1 for.
That's it. They're currently sitting on 5 points. 4 points would secure them to 9, which of course just edges out Bleed and Virtus Pro, which we'll be playing later tonight. So this is a really fun game because no matter what happens here, there are implications for every single instance of point distribution. But it is time to talk about the absolute nitty-gritty here. Can M80 do this 2-0?
I'd love to see M80 do it 2-0. I love to see exciting siege. I don't really care who wins. If they can pull it out of the bag here and if they can show us that they deserve to be in that playoffs, they would then go through with their heads held high. They've done the job. It's not been a pretty group, but it's been a group.
Yeah, you know what? I think they got it. I seriously think that M80, after the day they had yesterday, they'll be back in their own headspace. They'll be ready to go. They know how important this is. There are weaknesses on Liquid they can exploit. Or exploit? So yeah, I'm giving it to them. A bit of an upset, but I'm calling it.
Well, it is time to get underway with our first map in this series, Clubhouse. It is huge for M80. They cannot allow Liquid to walk away with this map. We're going across to Fluke and Lynx.
Thank you very much. And it is do or die. He's already done.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm already in bad. I'm in bad.
You're already in
spirits.
bad spirits.
Listen.
We haven't even started.
M80 have to win. What? 2-0? Liquid can't win a single map. I'm North American. Of course, I'm losing my mind.
Not a single map. Should I make it worse for you?
Why would you do that?
Let's be honest. Liquid are fan favorites. In general of the whole tournament, not to win it, maybe not to beat the live stage though, in front of a Brazilian home crowd. Nesk, Palu, playing in front of a home crowd. People want that. People want to see that, and M80 is sort of setting themselves up here to, if they do win this, they need it clean 2-0, as you said, as clean as it can go. And they'll know this pressure more than anything. Liquid though, they have the pressure of just taking one. Sometimes that becomes bad.
That, you might be onto something there.
Sometimes, break it down for me, that becomes bad.
Can we get that as on like a quote? Can we have like just
like
a
gray photo of me?
Can we have that photo of like Shaiko and Palu playing chess from like Yongping, and it's just in black, and like sometimes things become bad.
I want it as a motivational poster.
But
on a wall.
We are getting into it again. As we just said, if Liquid win a single map, whether it be number 1, number 2, or number 3, even if they lose this series in 3 maps, M80 could still very well go home. And right now, they have M80 have to fight through Liquid's own pick to start the series.
Well, if they need, they can't win map 3. That's not part of it. Because to get to map 3, they have to have won 1 or 2. You can't just. It's like you lose the game, you lose the series 2-0, and you're like, no, we're playing one more.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Goal wins.
Why are you interpreting what I said in extreme bad faith?
Next goal wins.
I'm on the floor.
He's fallen.
I've fallen. My shoes are gone.
Hopefully, the dogs are out.
The dogs are out.
Dogs are out. Talking about Capital. Removed Capital, one of the highest pick operators this tournament, alongside Buck, Fenrir, goodbye. I've seen Liquid play some pretty good Fenrir resets with a bit of a yawn. You're hoping...
Well, he's like, Fenrir ban. I've seen it before. Don't need it. Do not need it whatsoever. Plus, I mean, with the Capital, because of the changes to frag grenades, he was already an operator routinely brought to clear out that CCTV position if maybe nades were an issue or the enemy wasn't running a Wamai. But now that the frag grenades aren't, good anymore to do that sort of thing, having the Capital is the main option and the main substitute for, well, that same effect. Also not shocked by the Tubarão ban to end things out. This is one of his most played maps, and that's just from... watching 8 billion clubhouses at this point and seeing him played on half of them or banned on the other ones.
Tubarão, more like Tubarão. Church is where we'll start, all the way down on the basement with the lead in just a moment. But, it's sort of that thing, that understatement of this whole game is that you wouldn't have truly expected these two teams to be in this situation on this day. Maybe one of them, but both of them being the two that are fighting to survive in the single shoot series.
Well, I agree with you on one hand, but I do know on the other hand, when I saw this group, I felt two things of certainty. I felt W7M would top it, which to be fair is not completely certain now. But I knew Bleed weren't getting last because 3 other teams in this group have disappointed immeasurably this year in multiple areas. M80, basically bombing out of every event. Liquid, not even making Atlanta, and VP, even doing well in Phase 2, despite winning both EUL stages, not making it to main stage in either events. So I don't like that it's here, but unfortunately, I was worried this might have been a possibility, and now we are in a position where one of the biggest prospects of North America is going against some of the biggest names in Siege history, and one can only remain.
One can only remain, and we will see, I guess, how the first taste of it goes. Now, if you're new to this tournament, the hot off the presses, newsliners, it is heavily swung into favor of defenders throughout this current match, throughout the drive. The missing Tubarão, the missing Fenrir is going to make things a little bit trickier, but Capital has been a big bolt and blow towards the approaches here. The hard breach at least won't be the biggest problem, and Club still, I think, has some of that. Traded the drone for the Moz utility. That's a positive spin.
I'll give it a positive spin. Another positive spin for Liquid's attacks is the presence of the Ying, often thought of as an execute operator. You can also use those Candelas to great effect on clearing out roams on Clubhouse or any map for that matter. And Liquid have really struggled to convert a lot of their advantages from successful beginnings to equally successful endings. Even if, as I believe the desk talked about, sometimes the endings are well crafted. It is that middle phase, that transition from beginning to end that often doesn't go Liquid's way. One player spotted, though.
Ooh, held the first fight to pick up the second. Gomez gone the first blow, but a lot of time has been taken out of it, and that is the main role sort of that. So, as you can see, Palu was trying to get some presence done towards the site before Gomez was removed. They sort of split the push there a little bit, paid some attention towards that roamer, got rid of them, whilst Palu is making sure that some of the immediate groundwork is done. The Kaid Law on the moto hatch and onto the kitchen hatch will make things a little bit stickier, but both those problems can usually be overcome. However, the one down on moto is going to be very tricky with the utility that they are missing. Yep. EMP's Maverick, both gone.
That's the big concern for Liquid right now, is even though they have the 5v4 and got it relatively uncontested by M80, they have to open up these hatches. And even on the G2DZ game we just saw in Clubhouse, top teams can still struggle to open this hatch sometimes, to balance and thread the needle between dealing with the impact trick, dealing with the electro claw, and as the X-Kairos fly out, we've still got the kitchen hatch solid, and we've still got it electrified. Moto hatch also solid and electrified too.
30 seconds, Liquid, tick-tock, time to try and put the strike on, and the blind goes out, but it's a pretty narrow run straight down the back of Dirt. They're able to take some of that territory. Spoit gets Palu for a piece, but it's going to have to come blow for blow, and this is something that M80 can do. Trade it out with Spoit getting the lock in. The first round is theirs, M80. get the lead in, they can take a bit of a breath.
Holy shit. So Emady, you're excited.
I didn't know we had the players mic'd up.
I didn't either.
No, we don't. They're just that goddamn loud. You are Parker's son.
It is round 1. Wow. That was, like the entire roster was yelling at the same time. And to be fair, understandable. Because, of course, the pressure's on the line. Of course, everything matters. But that round, even though Liquid got the opening pick, it was such a layup. It was such a freebie for M80.
Yep.
No hatches acquired, no control in blue, no real control bottom main. I'd be reacting like this, too, if one of the best teams in Rainbow Six basically gave me a free 4v5.
To be fair, that is your speaking volume.
Come on. Were you cooking that the entire segment? Like the entire time I was talking, you're like, I'm just gonna throw this in right at the end.
No, I mean this is just.
Well, you know, I made a good point, but we'll take it away from him. We'll just take it away from him.
Take it away from you. I'll cut you down to size. M80. First step's yours. As we've said, statistically, it is a defender sort of lent into side here, and the pressure is going to be, looking at that 2 attacks that they might be able to eke out. The first sides are pretty solid. Liquid has sometimes had good responses, but where Liquid have fallen short, and the reason that they are in the situation there is generally a bit of a dip of that power, that energy, that ferociousness. You'll have Palu pop off and then be a little bit quiet the next map. Nesk will have a good map and then a little bit quiet. It's an unfortunate little wobble in the balance of getting that connection. A CC breach comes together. It's pretty easy enough to put together, as Iconic is making sure that things are kept a little bit cool. Just around the bottom of blue, actually goes for the dip and the runaway. Who's better at that than a Solace?
Indeed, and the Solos will likely be in that position for the majority of the round, while Liquid will have to focus on clearing out this garage position, unless they want to rotate for a construction push later on, but you have to do that pretty early once you open up the plat wall, so it seems, at least at the moment, they're contemplating a clear from garage, and Iconic has worked his way in oil pit as a result. He's looking to relay to Gomez how many people might be pushing his position. If they go on drones, he can use that and add it to the numbers that might be fighting this Azami all the way on top of rafters, but with these Kibas, he's used, I believe, all of them at this point, yes, indeed. The Monty's kind of blocked, but with Liquid getting the opening pick, a lot of damage. You're more than happy with this trade.
I mean, look at that, driven straight up. Yoga does get the end of Volps, though, but they've done the work that maybe the IQs needed to, and it's allowed Lagonas to start taking some of the control towards the site itself. Now, Liquid, they have dropped the ball a little bit on the plant attempt here. We talked about it before when we cast them yesterday, how they weren't quite confident enough to go for the plant. Whether that's something that they've been able to talk to each other about and see if they can try and drive themselves, it seems like it. Nesk wanted to start there with Lagonas being the sort of long watch here. It depends on the position he feels confident in, because, well, look at the power. There's Palu.
There we go.
Has the control. The Solace is caught out. There's a trade from Yoga, and now they're going to go towards the default. Put some pressure. Somehow gets the Monty. Don't let him do it. He does it to you. A 2 versus 1, but the player is down. So resets in a post plant against Yoga. No smokes in the pocket to cover the motion, and he'll wait for the call. It's the repel. He just has to bait this perfectly. Yoga has to put the pressure on, but you're looking towards the hook and seeing where the player is at. There's the cut. But unfortunately, as we said, he has to go for this. He's got to take the fight. He's able to get it! No way! Unbelievable tear across the repelled player.
We are so back.
Palu, you might be afraid, bro. You gotta move, bro.
Now, that's, wow.
Them's fighting words.
So, I was preparing, Emmy.
Yep.
I was like, man, Liquid had everything there. They had Nesk in sight with the diffuser, had 2 players around him on CCTV, and Palu down below. And not only did Yaga not deny the plant from below, because it had already kind of gotten out of hand at that point, but Nesk succeeds the plant as well. They had everything. Downstairs control, upstairs control. and Yaga hits the double retake, literally taking down the player from below, and even though he fails to deny the plant from that position, is able to rotate up and clutch the 1v2. That was a Liquid round through and through, from setup to execution. And then sometimes a player just pops off, and there's nothing you can do about it.
5 seconds left.
2 rounds in a row. And it's 2 rounds to defense. Obviously, that one felt a lot closer, really, than anything. It should be one apiece, especially as one of the players watching on the rafters was a Monty. Had the full control. They had the Solace that was potentially going to cause some problems behind. They dropped the shield to maybe get the cover and go for the sort of pistol play against the player. But roughly, I think they had about 30 seconds still left inside the site. They could have structured something a bit different, but it's very easy for me to say that from the position that I am in. 30 seconds gone. They know where the Solace is, but they use their gadget. They should be able to find the drone and try and get a way out of there. So that's what Nesk is doing. There is only one way in, and they have that now watched. How long will it take to get the shutdown on the player? That's the problem here, and Nesk wants to try and be the solution. Gonna go for the swing. The ping is there. There's the cap. Very, very well played from the roam clear, and, well, Iconic will be on cams for the rest of the round.
Yep. Always the risk. If you're able to rat inside a strip, you can potentially make a round-changing flank later in the round, usually, especially because the attack will usually take bar control, try to get some vertical from below, so on and so forth. But in this particular case, if you're found early on and somebody just, goes pool double window, you're way back. Your egress is very, very much hampered. So now Liquid can just rotate up as if nothing really happened. They just have a 5v4 and can go about with the rest of their attack. There's going to be a heavy focus on Jacuzzi Wall, and Spoid now feels a little bit of pressure. Now that he doesn't have any support from below inside a bar, playing around that hatch is a little riskier. He's also out of Kiba barriers at this point. So Liquid have done a great job on the utility clear and creating angles as well. And now that they're getting intel inside of the site, sure, they might be running a little low on drones, but we have a little under half the round to go, and Yogg is hitting impacts on himself.
I mean, he's allowed a little bit of balance. It's the yin and the yang from the previous round, but here we might have to smash and grab from the Jacuzzi itself. They're going to work with the blinds right behind the canister. The catch is a little bit late on the wide disc. They haven't moved immediately. That one is caught out. Good play and good shooting there from Yoga, drawing some attention. He's going to swing in and get the take onto Volt.
What are we doing?
The Monty is just watching, blinded, and goes for the hit. He knows there's someone else behind it. Yoga somehow able to find either player either side. Palu goes down outside on the balcony. Finally, he is stopped. But really, he should not have been able to get, either of them, and he steals the kill. Spoit Gomez, but no longer Spoit. Gomez and Diaz, either side of it. Lagonis, such a sliver of health. Anything in his foot is going to be the end. There's a C4 that could breathe on him, and it would be that ultimate decider. Less than 20 seconds. Lagonis trying to stick the plant. They have the pings. He pulls off. There's the C4 that gets the down onto the shield. It's a 1 versus 1. No, it isn't. M80. 3 in a row.
All right. I'm going to do it.
You can do it?
I'm breaking glass because it's starting to become an emergency. Liquid weren't cooking that attack. They were not cooking. The streets are saying that despite an opening 5v4, they decided to have all of their attackers on Jacuzzi Wall and Palu on metal balcony window. Now, those are all fine positions. Those are all positions you should be playing.
Yes.
But where's the Logi hack pressure? Where's somebody pushing up main stairs? Because I don't know if you were aware of this, Emmy. The main roamer down below died in the first 45 seconds of the round. And usually when that happens, sure, you can't nade from below, but you can maybe work a pick up main stairs, go for the backstab while there's chaos over on the Jacuzzi Wall as the Montaigne's pushing in. Yeah, now of course there are other factors. Yogga's huge performance that round, Diaz with 2 kills to end that round. It was another great round of individual performances from M80, and the parts Liquid had were good, but it's another very, very linear execute and not taking advantage of both control they could have acquired with the time they had, or could have made use of for control they had anyway.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Failures to launch, Liquid. At this point, 2 rounds should have been yours.
We built the rocket, but we didn't fuel it up.
You forgot to fuel it, and now you find yourself a little bit rained down on. However, as we've said many, many times, MAD have a strong defense. Their attack is where things go a bit wobbly, so there's still half of this round to play for. There's still half of this. these are conversations where you can learn and you can develop and you can change things up.
And also in that W7M game that went to OT both maps, both teams won 5 defenses.
They
so
did.
M80 have won 5 defenses before and still ended up losing the map in overtime. So just because M80 are having a very strong defensive half doesn't mean that this map will go their way, though really their most dominant performance was Consulate yesterday, where they were able to win on both attack and defense. But beyond that, they've been just like the rest of the tournament, able to get a whole bunch of rounds on defense, but still biffing.
Wait a second, is this defender-sided?
No, I don't
It's
think
right
so.
here.
No. I mean,
Six Invitational 2024. Is this here defender-sided?
Ironically,
you know how many defender rounds this can carry?
Ironically, Consulate is not defender-sided this tournament. So.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no.
It's been played.
It's
been played twice.
I think it's like 53-54.
Yeah, I think it's the data's just not normalized.
That doesn't seem right.
Gomez. He's got a little bit of spoit for protection, but again, this is all wasting time. They can get a player out of it. Great. They're going to go for Yoga, though, and he's caught in a drone. He's still able to slip away, and what was a very, very good roam clear on that individual player on the previous round here has at least gone slower, unfortunately, this time round. They're about 30 seconds behind where they were before, and at this point, they've been able to get a kill. So M80, they've learned. They've pulled themselves back in. They have another body down, all 5 of them. They're going to hope that it turns into a brawl and a fight here on the site itself. The Raid Claws and the C4 is ready to rock and roll against the Hatches. In fact, there's 3 ready to try and play against these, hoping they can catch some Liquid players a bit by surprise.
That's exactly the thing they need, just to make that Liquid attack in round 1 that was already very confined over towards the kitchen hatch and make it even worse. Throw up C4s, try to get a pick or 2 before Liquid even execute onto the site, because again, we're in a position where what's the status of Moto Hatch? What's the status of Kitchen Hatch? Are we still just opening it with 45 or 30 seconds left? Clubhouse Basement is a difficult attack, and if you're limiting your options further, we're in bad shape, fellas.
I mean, it looks like it's just going to be a drive down blue at this point. Everything is still locked. Both Moto and Kitchen is locked. They haven't put any pressure onto Dirt as well. It's just blinds and a take and a sort of raw control down main on this side, but Iconic gets resets. Parlu's going to see if he can step in and gets one, with Nesk also getting a pinch. Iconic does stop Parlu. So now it's Lagonis on the swing on Church Door, and they've got some of the control of blue, but Spoit is the back line, and there's only a pocket full of seconds to get the plant itself. A 3 versus 2 becomes a bit scratchy, but a 3 versus 1, they have Church control, they can go for it. The first is Dice's, but no more. They could get around.
Well, glad we got a Nesk 3K to open up that entire round, because we were basically in the same spot as round 1. Church Hatch, not really a factor, or sorry, Kitchen Hatch, not really a factor, Moto Hatch, not really a factor, just flooding in down main stairs, down blue, but Nesk gets 2 kills on the entry, and then the 3rd kill to wrap up the round, as DS Lucas was stuck in a 1v3. I think it was a perfectly fine setup from M80. Again, it's another very slow Liquid attack with very limited control, and they're forced to basically just go about a normal basement attack, but without any of the hatches to play off of, without any work done actually on the bomb site, just doing your best to inform the peaks you're going to take, but in the end, still dry peaking a lot of those engagements. Liquid have incredibly talented players, so I mean, this is just an average Nesk performance sometimes if he's having a good day, and you got to give credit where credit's due. Sure, I mean, it might not have been the best, but he hit his shots.
It's that sort of idea and understanding of this Liquid roster, though, is the individual talent on some of these players has been world-renowned for the entire world of this game. Since this sort of dawn of Rainbow Six Siege, Milosh would quote however many things. In my day, that's not how Milosh sounds, but you get the idea. But you will get the idea. He has a great big bushy beard and a greater big bushy tail about the history of this game, and they have been players. Tail with the L-E, not I. He doesn't have a tail.
Oh.
I don't think Milosh is a furry. He might be.
You said a great big bushy tail. I was like,
like a squirrel. And he squirrels away stories about the greatness of these players to bring out at the appropriate times, including Nesk, including Parlu. Yes, this is the sort of problem that we've had with this roster, is it doesn't quite have the connection of we need Parlu to send it, we need Nesk to send it with a consistency that you'll see on other teams. And finding that in this meta has seemed to be a bit trickier for them.
Ironically, though, we are back on the bomb site that had the best Liquid attack so far, and not one that was the best by a slim margin. They actually got all the control they needed. They cleared Garage really quickly, got control of Lounge extremely fast, and took down Iconic as well, or at least deleted him from being able to play that position in general. So they had control down below to stop the Solus from denying the plant. They had Nesk in the bomb site with the diffuser, and M80 only won this round because of a massive individual clutch from Yaga, who almost died. That guy repelled on the balcony, but hit a crazy spray transfer. So if Liquid just replicate that on top of the individual success from Nesk last round, we should honestly be in a good shape for them to threaten a 3-3 half.
Now, the shield breezes right up towards, well, Gomez is doing their best to survive, and no survival. The grenade got down there, and you're pulling a face like, what happened?
I get it's Monty, but like...
Move, bro.
Move.
Iconic is on the move. All the way deep down in blue, and it's the perfect operator. As I said, I love this sort of roam play that you can do. The push to blind anyone that might be trying to stop the Golus as they put the pressure onto it. Remember, this was a round where they had everything in their pockets, and then unfortunately it tumbled like a house of cards. Checkmate. Resets might be the one to find the fight here. Swinging around onto the bottom of pit, it's Spoit, who's actually come to offer some sort of counterplay. And this position that was played and removed by Palu, they don't know. Ooh, now they might know. There's the plant going down. Volps is able to get Yoga. Resets gets the cover. Great take, great cover here. Spoit, fortunately too late to the second store party. And now, well, with a shield, a Monty that has become a door frame, blocking the quick change between the two sites. This is almost even more impossible. There's at least a trade onto the repelling Nesk, but Diaz. Nice shot.
I mean, you know, if we're commending body shots, shout out.
Well, I think they said something to Nesk before. I think this is going to be a heated all chat.
I hope so.
This is going to be an all chat.
I'm here for the content.
The refs are going to be paying a lot of attention to.
But to Liquid's credit, sure, the other sites might not be very, very...
I don't speak Portuguese, my friend.
I don't either.
You
just enough to order food.
Just enough. You're our Portuguese speaker of the talent,
which doesn't mean I
is
speak
like
Portuguese.
A real low bar.
Yeah.
So we will go out to
give me another year.
Eateries and restaurants, and all the pressure's put on you. You do your best.
I try.
Things go wrong.
I mean, some things go right.
Yeah, some things go right. Most things go wrong. And then Parker gets mad at you.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Hey, you messed up his chicken nugget.
Anyway, okay, first of all, I got everything right today.
Yeah.
Second off.
You have to go back to squad.
Second off, let me talk about this execute I liked, okay? Because I want to give Liquid some credit. I want to give them some credit.
I'll stop being mean.
Because they lost the first CC attack to something that out of their control, and then the second time they reclaimed it, and now we got to see even more of an execute I quite like, because their strategy is just, all right, Capitão's banned. We don't need to clear him. Want to know why? We just bring the Monty. We force him to walk up garage stairs, and Palu is sitting outside the CC window, just tossing a Candela in time with Lagonis' movements. So basically, the only player he has to worry about, or the only positions he has to worry about, theoretically speaking, is the player on rafters and somebody playing stock. And they had resets in that position to watch it. So if those Candelas are timed properly, nobody can actually support Gomez playing that position because they'd be blinded if they look up. So Lagonis can walk up, push a little further. Another Candela goes out, pushes a little further. They time it with a grenade to box him in. That was a really well thought out strategy by Liquid, and I'm happy to see it pay off. I want to give credit where credit's due.
M80. Now, as I said it at the 3-0 point, obviously, there's still half a game to play for, and their worried half is the second half of this game. Liquid, if they can get themselves even from any game, is good. From where they were at 0-3 down without a timeout, it's pretty brilliant, let's be honest. They've really been able to get things going. It was failure to launch, but suddenly, oh, look at that. It's up in the sky. Beautiful. Ah, wonderful. A minute 50 as the break comes against the hatches. They've gone back towards paying them some attention, noting that, well, obviously there's no Kaid this time. They're sort of baiting them, potentially M80, to say, okay, look, they won this sort of showdown gun down. Let's force them into looking at tactics again, and then maybe we can shake the tree and see if we can stop it.
Yeah, no Kaid, DS Lucas, and Gomez. I don't believe either really in a position to impact trick that hatch either, so kitchen hatch, actually a success, but They're not really playing retake, but they're almost allowing Liquid to take control of those hatches, as you said, and they have different operators and positions to deal with it. One example, Spoit, we just saw, has an angle on the blue hatch, and we didn't see below, but I have to imagine he's playing behind a mirror window, the classic one looking into blue hall. You also have DS Lucas behind those Kiba barriers on AKs, who can watch the kitchen hatch drop and get an angle on somebody before they can fall. Oh, Spoit almost finding someone. The head of a Liquid player peeks out above the blue hatch, but no kill goes their way. The setup from M80 is still very solid, though, but it does allow Liquid to start gaining a foothold into the site, and then the players holding these positions, Spoit, DS Lucas, and so on, need to hit their shots and be on the lookout for dirt, I guess.
There's a party, right? Everybody's been invited towards the A case, and Legonis has said, no, I want to take your rotate instead. Spoit gets the first. They're putting pressure towards the plant, and Volps, he gets the bit of the activation here, but does 1 and pretty much a half towards the single player. However, the plant is prevented. Now there's only 20 seconds. Plan B to the default, which is a plan A, which Gomez goes fishing for and catches himself a kit. So now resets the attempt and goes for the double down on the default with Palu getting caught by Gomez. Gomez gets his third for the round. And with 5 seconds and Volp stuck in dirt, and the party is over, baby. 4-2, and this is sort of sad. They said, hey, here's a default take. Have a go. Have a go. Oh, no, we forgot to electrify the hatch.
It was a trick.
It was a trick.
It was all a ruse.
You've been deceived.
And indeed, deceived they were. I like the setup from M80. Of course, there's an element of risk. If you lose some of those fights on the drop down, then we have some issues, but they put themselves in the best positions possible.
Jesse J. Chick is on the line.
My boy, Jesse! If he's talking, I can't.
This is him talking.
I can't hear.
You guys can't hear me, I'm being told.
There we go. I
can hear you now. Let's go. We are so back.
Who are your 12 points for?
I'm here to deliver you some fun facts because we've had both of these teams play Clubhouse already through this tournament. And as M80 move on to the attacker's side, they've had some problems with attack on this map. In fact, through 7 attempted attacking rounds, the only bomb site they have won on Clubhouse thus far was CCTV Cache. And it just so happens that after defending CCTV Cache 3 times through 2 separate contests, we've seen Team Liquid defend it 100% of the time successfully. So watch out for the bomb sites that are both CCTV Cache, because that's one that Liquid have been very, very good on, but also the other bomb sites, because M80 haven't been able to successfully attack any of them even once so far through the tournament so far. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll leave the rest of the game to you two.
No, Carl's got a question.
No!
What's your question?
I was going to ask you about my fantasy team, that's all.
Thank you, Jesse J. Chick. You might recognize him from being Canadian.
And
he's on Twitter.
Me owning him in fantasy.
And you owning him in fantasy hockey as well.
No, not fantasy hockey. I'm his war consigliere, like in The Godfather. You know, like I advise him.
Yeah.
But in fantasy, I'm a fellow competitor. And with all his spreadsheets, he doesn't hold a candle to me.
Wow. This is twice I've had Jesse do a call, and twice he's been immediately sassed afterwards. Spoit is like, hang on, how did they know I was here? There you go.
There it is.
The camera gets the reveal. I mean, you have a team that's going to play Valkyrie if Valkyrie's on the boards. There's got to be the awareness that's paid towards it as well. The strike starts its way now. Liquid, as we said, they'll have some benefits of working on defense. M80 has generally struggled with this half, as pretty much every single team at this event has. If they can maybe get the first here, if they can push it into a 5-2 and keep that energy, well, they're trying to sort of get that momentum going. The gunfight's engaged already down Oil Pit.
Well, M80 had quite a lot of energy on their attacking side against Bleed on console yesterday, so a different map, especially one that is a bit more attacker-sided than Clubhouse that we're playing right now. But M80 can bring that energy if they're being faced with a passive, stagnant defense and they can find gaps or create gaps in particular positions. They've shown that they have the decisiveness and the ability to just make a decision and flood it alongside the rest of the team. We already see a lot of utility being dumped down blue. No follow-up as they're just trying to clear these Kiva barricades that Palu is playing behind. They do so successfully, and now as we move into the final minute, Gomez is thinking about opening out the church wall. We also hope to see some hatch play from M80 as well, but this is a similar spot that Liquid was in, going into often 5v5 or 5v4s where the defense still has a lot of angles. So for M80 to make this a little bit better, hopefully we'll find a kill on maybe somebody in this blue position as Spoit. just lurking in oil pit at the moment.
Yeah, but he's been there for about a minute. Volps removes Yoga, so boy, that's the sort of call to action. And the first thing he's going to hit as a procs. The second thing is bullets from Nesk. Great two-piece. Either side as Gomez then gets removed just in the corridor of Long. Iconic, he's trying to replace the space, but really, it's a crossfire, and unfortunately, he is fully in the targeting range of Liquid. We are now 4-3.
4-3 indeed, and man, these frag grenade changes, you can see the effect they're having on some of these attacking strategies because this site is so hard to attack now, it seems, if you aren't able to take down the blue player, who you can't nade anymore.
Nope.
Often is going to have a warden supporting him in that case. Or if you're not able to open the church wall and be able to work a pick on that wall or at the moto door in particular. There's so much defensive utility, and for both Liquid and M80, we can see how difficult it is to cut through it. So, Liquid get their first round, and as Jesse mentioned, CCTV, Emmy, it's a little good for them. It's a little bit of a good one.
It's a little bit good.
A little bit good.
Oh, you were listening to him? I was just thinking...
He's my best good friend.
He's your best good friend?
He's my best good friend.
I thought it was Parker.
Well, he's my father.
Oh, right. You were actually quoted as father and son on the broadcast.
I know, I saw that. Ferme changed it. Shout out to Ferme.
Shout out Ferme. Woohoo!
He's working the B string. Zay might be on now.
Yeah, he might be asleep by now.
That's right.
43. And, well, with an entire swap round, I'm wondering if they were wondering it was a different site. Instead, you've got the most popular operator at the entire event, which is almost a reflection of the nade change. Gomez bringing Buck. It used to be a sort of toss-up with Sledge taking preference because they had nades. Sledge, obviously slower, loses the nades, and now you've got, well, the decision. What do you bring? Buck, he has a bit more pace, and what was the first thing, which used to be played by Golgona in EUs all the time back then, was the ability to change between a skeleton key and get into a gunfight. You can go from one to the other instantly, which in this meta where you really stake your attacking opportunities to get them. Beautiful, perfect, lovely. Goodbye, CCTV wall.
Nobody's going to complain when you're attacking gym bedroom to have the ability to rip up the entirety of the floorboards inside a master bedroom. Who would complain about that? Especially when you're facing a Mira, and Nesk is the Mira.
Wood enthusiasts would complain.
Who? Wood enthusiasts?
Yeah, people who are like, that's
true.
That's a waste.
I imagine carpenters are very unhappy about this operator.
They hate Rainbow Six Siege.
Listen, the streets are saying.
The streets are saying. The
carpenters are very upset.
Streets. They're saying
the wood-lined streets.
I've been talking to these wood boys down the street. They're saying, oh, they hate to see what happens to the soft walls.
They do.
On this Palu, he's ready to see if he can try and make this hard wall a connection, but they sort of got the breach then held back, and now they're gonna see if they can cut off the rotate. Palu takes half his damage because he was just on the other side of that Kiva barricade as it got hit by the breaching panel. So he almost had one of the most, well, hilarious, depending how you look at it, downs.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Across it, a minute 20. And still, every player still standing. The pressure here is starting to get a little bit hotter for M80, who have otherwise just taken CC and are still, you know, I don't think Jacuzzi's open. I don't know about Logi Hatch. Still closed with a mirror window to bait some impact tricks against it, or, well, a C4. They only really have C4.
Yeah. But you also do have M80. They've acquired control of cash, but it's been 30 seconds since they really cleared out that position, and with Jacuzzi wall not open, we're again running out of time to really have an impact in this round and set yourself up good for an execute. With all 5 Liquid players sitting inside the site, they have Kiba barriers to try and deal with anybody contesting the master window. Iconic also setting up to hop inside a gym window. Without solid plat wall pressure, M80 are betting this almost entirely on gunfights or even oversights from Liquid. DS Lucas can watch and see if anybody rotates up, but aside from that, it's a gamble at this point.
I mean, they're still trying to get themselves set in. Iconic's either side of the gym equipment. Spoit gets one, but now the kit's cold and traded out. Volps and Volps again. 3 versus 2. Yoga finally gets himself towards the door. Almost gets the ponytail shot off of Volps, but they're still surviving, still wiggling, getting themselves some protection onto the window. Diaz doesn't really have the time to get the full smash and grab here as the wall finally pops open. They're playing the barrel position, gets into Volps, and Yoga finds the pop-up, but 5 seconds left. It's about to be a 1 versus 1 as the other has to plant, just has to get the cover through the bed. They swing, there it is! Oh, it was sort of a gamble. They thought the player was underneath, so they go on the bed, but all that did was make it a flick of the coin.
And also unfortunate for Yaga too, Emmy. Volps peaks left, or not Volps. Was that Volps?
No, Volps was dead in gym. That was Nesk.
Nesk. Nesk peeks left, his left. Yaga peeks his left. They
Keep going.
I started trying.
I'm still on this analogy. I'm still with you.
My brain was trying to miss and pass.
Right.
Miss each other like ships in the night was the analogy I was trying to go
Ships
for.
in the night, yeah, which cannot see each other because it's dark.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
because
true.
it's dark.
Apart from one of them had headlights, and they were pointing at a guy that was planting a diffuser on a bed. I don't get this analogy. Why is there a bed in those seats?
Okay, so I'm gonna ignore you.
Why do they have guns? Why do they have guns?
But either way,
Gunboat.
it was an
Okay, we'll do it
okay.
again.
It was an okay start for M80. They're able to clear out cash, but the conversion at that point, specifically opening up the jacuzzi wall, was rough. No.
There might be a little tech slowdown here for a second.
Allegedly,
the
streets are saying.
Give me Jesse back. Give me Jesse's picture-in-picture. I think one day, and I'm going to just throw this up into the air, and by that I mean say it loud enough that I hope production does it to be a very funny bit, is, because we work in bits here, is we do a picture-in-picture, and then it turns into an argument, and then we get a picture-in-picture of someone else smaller in Jesse's picture.
So it's just like
So it's like a Russian doll of
It's
Colin.
kind of like, oh my god, we got him!
Do we actually have Jesse?
I'm back.
Big
How many
dog.
points, Big Dog, for what country?
I didn't
That's
hear
a
the
Eurovision
question.
joke. You're not going to get
What's
that.
your?
That's too deep.
So Jesse, how's your fantasy team doing today?
Okay, I am in third. You're in second.
Let's
Don't
keep
talk
this-
like you're
I'm just-
trashing me in fantasy
It was
right
a
now,
genuine
Carter.
question.
Okay,
How
let's
was
keep
your
this-
fantasy team?
I don't track it live. I'll find out at the end of the day.
All right.
Okay, let's stop
Yeah.
this. Let's stop this, beef children. Do you have any siege-related questions for Jesse?
I suppose. I might. Jesse, so let's just say,
Yep.
let's assume Clubhouse is a defender-sided map and the stats haven't suddenly
Thank you,
changed.
Kino.
He's giving me the keys.
Oh, what are they?
have
The
you?
keys to?
He didn't say.
I
the
know
keys
what
to
they
the
are.
game, perhaps.
I know, the keys to success, idiot.
On that note, Jesse, I assume you watched the last round.
I did. I was watching.
So that's good. You're doing your job. I appreciate that. So as you saw, M80 were able to clear out the cash position decently quick, but
Yeah.
no success on the jacuzzi wall. What's your take on that? What's going on there?
Well, jacuzzi wall was tough. I mean, they wanted to go mostly in from construction side, right? My biggest question with that push was Iconic, I believe, brought the defuse kit into gym when there was a player in gym that was actively fighting. The Azami was there. I think if they initially had the fuse kit in construction with the bulk of that push, maybe that goes a little bit better. Maybe they can kind of push more together, because with Iconic jumping in, immediately dropping the defuse kit, I don't know, that was a little bit questionable on my end. But, it's those mistakes. Sometimes the defuse kit doesn't end up where you want it to be. Sometimes you're not able to clear out gym as much as you may have liked to. So, yeah, a bit of an awkward one.
Okay.
And also, I got another question.
Are you get a question or make a joke?
No, this is an actual question.
Okay.
Jesse's on the stand right now.
Jesse is on the stand.
So Jesse, as I'm sure you've been keeping track of, we see a liquid win on Church. We see a liquid win on Gym. What site's up next?
I would have to imagine it's CCTV Cash, unless they're maniacs who are going to bar stage.
And I've unfortunately been hit with short-term amnesia. What's so big about that bomb site for this particular matchup?
That is the bomb site that currently Team Liquid have a 100% success rate on defending, but it's also the only bomb site M80 have successfully attacked.
Whoa.
On Clubhouse. All
Statistics
tournaments.
are
This is their
exciting.
second time playing Clubhouse. This is good. They've gone, they've gone through 10 attacks now. This will be their 10th attack.
That's a lot.
On Clubhouse.
Jesse, on the street, you're a man of the people. The people love you. But I have the sort of question. What's the atmosphere like down there? How tense? Because you're fluent in Portuguese, as everyone should know. If there are any...
Jesse, half Brazilian.
Half Brazilian. Any fans that come over to him, please speak fluent Portuguese to me. He'll understand. But I don't know if you've been in the room. The shouting that we got in the first couple of rounds, it feels like it's died down a little. Is that because M80 have started to lose?
I will say I've not been in with the players. I've been out here with kind of the support staff and everybody watching and the production crew and all that. And I will say out here, it's gotten louder as Liquid have started winning rounds, because there's a lot of Liquid kind of support people out here, a lot of people around the Team Liquid organization and the team who obviously are very invested in Team Liquid getting this map win. So it's getting a little bit more exciting out here. M80's got a sizable crowd as well. You can see them in the back there.
You can
I think
see them.
They're just a little bit quieter.
Do you know
maybe
what
more
else we can
subdued
see in the
so
back,
far.
Jesse?
What can you see?
You leaving us with back in the game. Bye, Jesse. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, production, as well, for being... Did they just have it?
I think
Did they just have him on standby?
And guys, I think the biggest takeaway there, I am still leading Jesse in fantasy at the moment.
I love the idea that they have just a deployable Jesse.
I do too. They have a mobile Jesse.
I'm going to ask him for the most inopportune times.
They have an all-terrain deployable Jesse J check.
It's like a list of like things we can do. It's like, oh, we can do like Connect 4, we can shave mustaches, Jesse.
Production can deliver you a Jesse J chick in 15 minutes or less.
5 seconds to go.
Taps production. You know how many Jesse J chicks we can fit?
I'm sitting there like, Jesse me.
Defuse the bomb.
Jesse.
Four apiece, M80. 2 rounds have now slipped away, and this is the round that's going to be very exciting. A bandit trickery as a foot, doubled up with the Kai Yi. Now, there is a Thatcher on the board, and you've got the Selmas and the Thermite. So really, this breach should get opened pretty cleanly.
And that's the biggest thing at this point for me is that what M80 can really do well with these breaches is open them up quickly and convert and execute immediately afterwards. They don't really have a lot of nades. They have the Ying, which Liquid used a lot to open up the garage position, but they don't have that Monty. The Capitão's band, maybe they could use the Grim, but directly speaking, we're in a rough spot, and Reset takes down 1 exothermic immediately. Liquid have the play here.
Okay, that's what is supposed to happen. So you do the exothermic and then you do the breaching charge. You do it at the same time and you guarantee it. Luckily, they pulled off the breaching charge, because otherwise it would have been poorly traded sort of tech there. But at the same time...
their summers are gone.
Yeah, I mean... That wasn't great. Let's be honest, that approach, it's been done a lot in this tournament. These guys have done it a lot. They know they can do better. You pretty much deploy one either side of the wall, roll the catch, and then the bandit will get one of the 2 electrics, but the other one will guaranteed pop off, and you get your breach, you get your range. We now only have pocket tin openers, which they're going to use on the far wall, and then 1 exothermic, which they might need to use on construction wall to try and get themselves in towards the pressure onto the back end, but either way, not great.
It's a tricky position for M80 now because you feel obligated to rotate to go for a construction push, but if you aren't able to acquire garage control, then you have an entire line from the top of rafters to the construction wall and the construction doorway that Nest can contest alongside Resets playing inside a cache as well. That doesn't even include Lagonas playing top red. There's a perfect crossfire on that position with multiple, at least 3 players who can all deal with that spot. M80 are rotating over. We see the Ying and Spoit all moving into this spot. They need to probe for picks at this point. Use those Candelas to their advantage, but priority number 1 has to be this con wall.
Opening up underneath with only 40 seconds left. They don't have garage. They don't have anything else, and they don't have the ability to get rid of the electrics.
Don't even have EMPs.
It's just going to turn into a run up towards the rafters, up towards the stairs. Nest gets the easy first pick onto Iconic. 20 seconds. They still have Gomez throwing these blinds up with Harley getting Spoit, though, and Nest getting his second inside rafters. It is just Diaz and Yoga trying to smash into what is a fully loaded still site. There is nothing structurally that has been removed here.
10 seconds remaining.
And they're just running through their own bees.
Just running up that hill.
Running up that hill. Been running up that hill.
But if that is not an example of what can happen on a CCTV attack in this meta, I don't know what else is, because you have the Capitão ban.
Yeah.
You have the frag grenades that you can't just cook and immediately throw. And then if you don't open that plat wall, all the hard breach, all the EMPs, save for 1 exothermic and some can openers wasted, but because all those EMPs are gone, opening up the con wall, the plat wall, anything electrified is now much, much harder. So they try to rotate to the construction push, realize the wall is electrified, have to pivot again because they know they can't open it, and then they suddenly just have to cobble together a garage push from complete nothingness because they've now on their 3rd push of the round. And it's all because 1 successful bandit trick and destroying all or getting rid of all the EMPs from M80 forced their hand on multiple occasions.
I mean, the timeout was obviously called there. That was called by M80 to have the conversation. They've gone from being 4-2 up to now 5-4 down. And we said it was always going to be a problem. It's always going to be tougher on your attack. And they just had no time left for the final engagements. It was pretty simple there, outside of a single battle around maybe arguably the most classic bit of utility exchange we have in the whole game, which is the breach onto that wall. That is if you open a dictionary and go to Rainbow Six Siege, there's probably a high chance that it's just a picture of the CC wall breach. I don't know why this dictionary has this in print. It doesn't really make sense because it's a thing of words, and that's 3 words and a picture. But
Keep going with this.
This is what happens when you buy your dictionaries from
Keep
Ubisoft.
building the bridge.
When you buy your dictionaries from Ubisoft, comes with a
Objective is to locate a bomb.
Company
and
manual.
defuse it.
company manual.
There you go.
I'm sure Hap has it. You know, he had the rulebook ready and saved on his phone for a conversation the other day. Who pulls a rulebook out in a conversation?
It's because Hap's the goat.
Disagree. He used to he used to protest people for their Moss files.
Oh, so he was weird.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
He was that guy.
player. Well, I can say M80, not that team right now, unfortunately, on the attacking side. Then again, as we've said multiple times at this point, who is at this tournament on the attacking side? Won 3 rounds in a row, have Liquid on every bomb site, and now they move back down to Church Arsenal. Don't see a Thatcher, do see a secondary EMP Iconic, and we're getting a Cade trick inside of dirt. It does not land.
I don't know. It's always going to be outpaced. You got to have that claw deployed pretty much as they're deploying the tin opener based on how long it takes things to get together. The pocket hard breach is very quick. That's the benefit of it. You can still play against other places, but that means that obviously Kitchen Hatch or Blue will be electrified. Now, those are both breakable, and we do have a Maverick on the board, but that's not the push we're going for. In fact, I'm kind of curious where we'll start to see this. Remember, it turned into a bit of a brawl, and, well, they've got the shield to sort of maybe strong-arm some control, but the impact EMPs, the pocket play, the claw itself is just tucked on the inside. I think they have the reveal on that. There it is.
Go.
No catching, no stopping, no playing against it.
That's good. Moto Hatch opened up. Now we have something much better than we had the previous round, at least. Even if Kitchen Hatch isn't opened up, you can start throwing utility down Moto, have someone push up alongside somebody in blue. It won't be great, but with Kitchen Hatch open, there we go. This is a better position than both teams have been on attacking this bomb site a number of times. But ask Domes Yaga. I don't even know where that was. And still he's found it.
Neither does Yaga.
Either does he.
Iconic. He's got himself pressed up against church wall and pipes. Now, you don't really need the mirror window to see the danger that's coming. Now they can't see anything. But Nesk still somehow finds
boy.
Diaz on the back end. Spoit rolling flashes that nobody's moving behind. It's an isolated shield now. Iconic is alone on the back. Gomez can't get any support there. The blinds are rolling in, but there's been no impact on the back of them. Everybody is sort of stuck. Well, now they're not stuck anymore since the Afterlife. Palu with the double, the pistol, Iconic alone, and a flawless defense from Liquid to push themselves to Mappus Point.
What else have they pushed themselves to? Achievement point.
Achievement point. Like it pops up?
Yeah, it does. 30 gamer score.
30 gamer score.
You just qualified to the next phase and knocked M80 out of the Six Invitational 2024. That's a long achievement name, but it rings true. M80 have also used their tactical timeout at this point.
It's not over yet.
It's not over.
It's only when the map comes out.
Only when the map comes out, but...
They're close. If Liquid win one more round, M80's dream is over. M80 will be a second not qualified team or third?
I believe second.
Second. I'm trying to remember what games we've had today.
Well, we've had the Bliss D Plus game, and it might be over, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was on the other stream, so we might have the confirmation at the end of that. We know what happened in the FearX game. We went home between FearX and GK. If Liquid get one more round, M80 will be the team from a very deadly group to suffer the fall of the Bliss.
Yes.
I was longing that out because he was looking at his phone.
Yeah, well, I was longing that.
I was trying to make it more dramatic.
Well, no, I was. Well, to be fair,
he was
it's
reading.
Not, yeah, it's not like I was like texting or something.
No, he's
I was
a slow reader.
I was checking to see the results of the Bliss D Plus game. I was scrolling. Thank you. Bliss did win that game, so this would be our third team to go home.
Third team to go home.
Third team to go home. And if, as you said, if Liquid just win one more round, it is Jover for M80. They have to attack this gym bedroom site. And if you recall, there was no jacuzzi wall opened up for M80, despite clearing out the CCTV and cash room. Iconic just resigned himself to jumping in a gym window with the diffuser and right into the waiting arms of Liquid. They are focusing heavily on the jacuzzi breach to start. Some EMPs going out. The Selma's being used as well. They've realized that nobody's on the wall, and they're able to open it successfully. That's because Resets has a mirror window to play behind and impact grenades to help destroy these Selmas.
2 minutes, M80. That might be all you really have left, and
Is there a line in that breach?
Oh.
There might have been a line in that breach. Oh, can they walk into that?
I think they can. I think that will block, and that's what the ping is. They've been given a bit of a boost here. Liquid. The hands of Brazilian Siege has reached down and offer them the bonus on the home turf. It's starting to come together and starting to fall apart. A minute 30, and the breach comes around onto the back. Now Volps is in an aggressive position here, and Palu's even more aggressive, distant on the far side. The roaming mute, a classic, obviously. As they found themselves towards the bottom of blue with the slow creep up. The clash getting the focus and attention.
Seeing that Rotero drone, I wonder if DS Lucas realizes it yet, that maybe that breach is walkable. We're not entirely sure yet, but M80 have started rotating around. They got into 5v5. They haven't cleared out anything yet. CCTV cache still in the defense's hands. Palu still in the wind. Gomez might have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting to clear out Logi and the bedroom stairs just by moving up.
The drop comes, and so does the guillotine. The first two are caught in half. Resets in the kit. Now in the room of Logi themselves, Voigt and Nesk are finding bodies apiece. Gomez does get one. There is a triple kill for Nesk. Diaz, all that's left of M80's hopes of not going home. Resets calls the good half. Volp says something in Portuguese, but the only thing I think being understood right now is a little bit of Vamos Liquid. 1, 2, 3, Palu with a C4, a breach he cannot pass through. He's smiling on his face, but we have our team going home. And it has been a frustrating run recently for NA's M80, and unfortunately, they could not quite get it all together here. Liquid, they've still got a map ahead of them, maybe 2, but the series itself has already been decided and the fate has been sealed.
And we had a rehost, by the way. Since the rehost, Nesk had 7 kills. 7 kills since the rehost, a dominant defensive half. Now M80 in a difficult position where they have to play out the rest of the series despite their fate being decided.
I mean, I think it's the first map that we're about to have that has no impact at all. We obviously have had teams that are playing to just change places. There's still things to go for there. What we will have next is our first impactless map, and you know, your heart sort of breaks for a roster that has really tried to find itself together in the new meta, cannot quite piece it together. Someone has to go home. Where do we have to go? To find Jesse to talk about hockey, probably. We'll be back after a quick break.
Liquid have sent home an NA team. They have dashed the hopes and dreams in a single map. Clubhouse, Liquid's map pick, goes their way, and pretty convincingly, Jesse.
They absolutely did. And I mean, that first half, it was looking hopeful, a 4-2 split. They started off 3 rounds in a row for M80. There was definitely some momentum that was starting to brew, but by God, did Nesk shut that down. Came on in, defensive half, just completely slammed M80. We saw back-to-back rounds, flawless on the defense. Tough for the North American squad.
2 rounds on attack as well is pretty good in this climate. You know, you could look at that side swap and go 4-2 for M80. Okay, you know, they've done a great job there. They've done a fantastic job on the defense. But realistically, it was the 2 rounds that Liquid were able to get on their attacks. Clubhouse, incredibly defender-sided, something around 70% defender-sided, defender win rate. So Liquid did a good job.
Sure.
Yeah, certainly did. Anything in particular from operator bans? Did you notice anything that kind of started to skew things?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Manic, because I did. In
way.
fact, I talked at the halftime point that M80 had only successfully attacked CCTV Cache the last time they played this map. It was the only bomb site they were able to get a win on. And Team Liquid's Capitao ban, I think, is a direct response to that. They knew M80 were already weak attacking the basement. M80 were already weak attacking gym and bedroom. So take away the best tool you could possibly bring for attacking CCTV Cache, and that meant that M80 couldn't attack any of the 3 bomb sites. Although Liquid started off losing a couple rounds in a row, going down 4-2 on that first half, I think Liquid were plenty confident going into their own defensive half, knowing, listen, we can win all 3 of these sites that we have to, and we can be very confident in that.
Yeah, they knew that. And, you know, when you got a day when Nesk gets himself online, it is always going to be a good day. Battle of the entry as well that we highlighted at the top of the show. We had a graphic showing that. Volps versus Spoit. Volps 3-0 on the entry. Spoit 2-0 on the entry. So not a terrible performance in the grand scheme of things. But when there's so much pressure on one single map of Siege, strange things happen.
It certainly does. And, you know, we were saying first half, 2-4 split. That is pretty standard at the moment.
Yeah, that's fine for both teams.
Yeah. It's neither here nor there. However, Liquid, as you said, once they got to their defensive side, that looked infallible.
It was Nesk, you know, and it's been a while since I've stood on a desk and said it was Nesk, and all you can really come up with is, well, yeah, you got a 3K here, you got a couple K there, you got a clutch here. It's so nice to be able to say that because he hasn't had the greatest performance of late. But to see him online, to see him doing the things that he can do, this is a veteran of the game. It's great to see.
Yeah, and he was doing what he does best, right? He was holding down those power positions. Whether that was blue when they were holding down into the basement, whether that was rafters when he had the Kiba barrier wall set up, it seemed like he was unkillable. And you know, you got to admire M80's attempts. They tried to get in there, especially with blue. I believe they kept trying to go with the Grim. They were trying to go with the Habana, but then, you know, Diaz would get shot and Spoit wouldn't really be able to make his way in through Oil Pit, and it just always seemed to fall apart for them. So, yeah, I mean, when you're going up against Nesk, this is a player who has been so consistent through the entirety of Siege, and he's still got it.
Round 9, M80. I know you've got something you want to break down.
Yeah, we've got something. We wanted to talk about, obviously, we talk about how attackers have a really hard time of things now, and you've got to bring a lot of the necessary tools to get the job done. We see an occasion here where we've got double hard breach, we have a Thatcher, so you should really be able to get the wall open because Bandit can only trick one side. A little bit of lazy Thatcher in there, in all honesty, and we can see that Resets has no issue whatsoever getting that trick off. And this is the main focus for M80, right? Look at the lineup that they've brought. They want to try and get this wall open. I would argue this is a fundamental. This is a basic. You need to be able to get the job done. Sure, they're able to open the wall, but it isn't enough. They only get one single ace charge going off. The bandits get reactivated. We got Volps able to throw a nade out and get a trick off. And the culmination of that round was M80 walking up through Garage, and they've not really been able to take any ground. So back to basics.
Yeah. I think that obviously the positive on that second half was Nesk having a fantastic showing. I think the big negative for M80 was just their problem with walls. Whether it was the cache wall that we saw in that clip or whether it was the jacuzzi wall where they were attacking on Jim, the final round, just a sliver of unbreached wall preventing them from crouching in or walking in.
Yeah.
That's been a big problem for M80 throughout that matchup, and that's something they're going to look back on and be like, that stings.
Yeah, it certainly does. But look, they've got to dust themselves off as we are headed to Skyscraper next. The matchup, which unfortunately unfortunately now for M80 doesn't have a lot of stakes to it, but they can still play spoils.
I tell you what, credit for M80 for getting back in the booth. It's not easy when you know you're going home, when you know your fate has been sealed in map number 1 to get back in that chair and to load into map number 2. This is not a game that is going to be pretty. It's probably not one that they're going to want to remember, but let's hope they go in and have a good time.
Yeah, and for Team Liquid, plenty on the line. If they can win this map here, if they get the clean 2-0, they lock themselves into the upper bracket. They will jump ahead of one of, I believe it's FaZe Clan or Bleed.
Yeah.
And one of those teams will be able to pass them up, but we don't know who. That'll depend on the next game. So it's going to be a big map for them. And if you look at the Skyscraper from Team Liquid, this might be a bit of a challenge. I like the map pick from M80 because the last time Team Liquid won Skyscraper was October 2nd, 2022. That's over a year ago at this point. So they've lost it 5 times since then. There's plenty of odds to look back on. Team Liquid, not a comfortable map coming into the second game here.
No, unfortunately not, but it is time to get underway with Skyscraper. We've got Emmy and a very sad boy.
Unfortunately, the boy is very sad. I look like your mother. And
I want to go home.
my boy wants to go home.
I want to go home.
I'm sure M80 also probably wants to go home. But they have a game of Rainbow Six that they need to play, don't they?
This is the saddest game with Diaz, Lucas, and Gomez in it since they lost CL to Parabellum. I'm in shambles right now.
He's in shambles. Physically, emotionally, structurally.
One of my bones liquefy? What do you mean? I mean structurally.
The boy's in bits. The boy's in bits. They should have let Kino play.
They should have let Kino play. That'd have been very funny. What if he is playing? You don't know.
That's true. I mean, I can see the lobby.
He's got Willie's luggage. Maybe he's playing for
He does
us.
have Willie's luggage. M80, my heart breaks for you. Liquid, celebration. Obviously, there is still a game of Siege ahead of us. Hey, maybe 2.
Sport's got the hood up.
Sport's got the hood up. To be fair, that was the Pengu buff.
Was it?
Yeah, when
Did he
Pengu
play with this hoodie?
put his head up.
He's playing forehead on the desk the whole time. That's what made his career so impressive.
Yeah, and then he heads up.
The heads up and he's dialed in.
And he's dialed in because he's like, oh yeah, I can look at the screen. That's my impression of
That genuinely might be one of the worst impressions I've ever heard of. Have you heard my Tim impression?
I want to hear Tim.
Those laser gates.
Wait. Did you say doors laser gates or those laser gates?
Those laser gates. But it's like a very it's a very hard TH.
I want to close my eyes. Tim, what gadget is that?
Laser gates.
Tim, what round are we going into?
Overtime, Emmy.
Okay,
That was more Shrek.
You lost it on the second one. The first, I'm with you. I've closed my eyes. I see his sheen of his head cresting like the baby from Teletubbies coming over the hill.
I didn't watch Teletubbies.
Okay, yeah, well. The second sounded like
I'm a Coco Melon.
The
baby.
second sounded like Shrek.
I did sound like Shrek.
Can you say in Tim's voice, "Get out my swamp"?
Get out, Miss Swamp. Hey, by the way, if you guys are wondering why are these casters so annoying, why are the number 1 and number 2 yappers in Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege not talking about the game? It's because M80 are going home. By losing one map in this series, they are eliminated from the entirety of the Six Invitational 2024. And we've already, I think, kind of talked about enough how sad that is for the players, North America, for this project in general. We don't need to hammer it home.
I think the split here as well was that so far, every other game we've had, the result comes with the main result of the series, not a per map result. M80 were the first team of the games, I can't remember if the one later on needs it as well, that needed the clean 2-0. They needed all the 4 points to be able to get to the same level as Liquid, or jump them, and then win the head-to-head.
Yeah, the other elimination is going on right now. I think Falcon Scars. Wow,
Yoga is already killed Volt.
Dude, shout out.
Shout out Yoga.
Huge for the program.
I mean, done within the first 5 seconds. That's maybe the
Whoa! He's shooting the corpse. What are we doing?
That's a war crime.
Listen, this is going to be a litmus test for the game. I'm going to hear him out. Are we going to get a serious game, or M80 just going to rush every round? This is what I'm really curious about. I'll be impressed if they actually give it a good old college try. But I also wouldn't be shocked if we just like.
I mean, it's got to be rough, right? Regardless of like, it's multiple games that get you into the position, but then from this point onwards, this is the heartbreak. This is the moment. And then you've got to go back out on stage and perform once again in front of tens of thousands of people. That is so rough. They know already. Their phones are blowing up with commiseration messages or whatever from friends and loved ones, and they've got to sit it out for another 45, maybe another hour and a half if things go their way, as weird as it is to say. But it's also their swan song, because everybody dreams of playing at Six Invite. Even people that have never heard of Rainbow Six, they close their eyes. What do they see?
The hammer.
The hammer. Unfortunately, we don't understand why.
We don't.
It's like
that
new Nicolas Cage film where everybody dreams of him.
Is that true?
Yeah, there's a new film. It looks funny.
I dream of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, holding the hammer.
Well, yeah.
And you will extend your time here in this game, regardless of how rough it is, regardless of knowing you're one of the teams that's going home.
Can I say something out of pocket?
I guess.
This is the best start to an attack an M80 have had this entire series.
Yeah. Well, it is there, Matt. Palu is going to take some of it back. Iconic swings up the back of the stairs, gets the take onto Palu, resets a player. I've made that joke many times.
You have already.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm old.
How old are you? 25.
Thank you. 3-1. There is a down player. It's technically a 2 versus 1. They have 45 seconds. They're not going to be able to get the player up, though, because of the danger that there is. The pop over the top. Resets, rotates towards the opposite end of gold. Wants to see if he can swing the back of this player as the pickup comes through. Another 3 versus 1. 30 seconds. They don't have the diffuser. This is probably just going to turn into a brawl. He is sat on it. There's the first.
What if he clutches this?
Bit of a surprise strike. The second, he does a lot of damage to the player. They're breakdancing on the floor. Remember, Iconic's gone down, so he cannot do that again. Resets. He's trying to get himself rotated. 15 seconds. They still don't have the kit. They've got to rotate around. They finally get it. They're going to go for the plant on towards the gold side and the door itself with the cover coming through. They're just tucked on the breach. There it is. A bit of smiles. There is an attack round 1, something that they could not do on the previous one.
Yaga got 2 kills at least.
I was going to say, what? Are you going to say something?
No.
Okay. That space was for you.
Well, no. I mean, Yaga got 2 kills at least. I appreciate it. We have an overall solid attack. They go for the roam clear. They open up the exit or the office wall, as you can see. Very nice couple shots by Yaga. They then push up, not really into drum, but Iconic goes to try and split the forces in 2, wins the initial fight, and at that point, M80 have a solid inroad through drum into the bomb site overall. Obviously, they drop some bodies to resets in the clutch, but it is a very on-the-fly attacking strategy, and considering they don't really have anything to play for, I can appreciate making a solid effort, and again, putting something together that was overall quite nice.
Just double checking some stuff. So Liquid, obviously, they've guaranteed at least a point from this, which alongside the setup before, so obviously got 1 point versus Bleed, 1 point versus W7M, and then 2 points or 3 points versus VP. So if they win this out, Bleed's game to Bleed. So Bleed play VP later on today. Okay, so that's...
We're crunching the numbers, everyone.
Yeah, just crunching the numbers, because obviously Liquid could jump the Bleed, but then Bleed have the opportunity to jump back. So Liquid could get themselves out of the lower bracket,
Indeed.
I think. But it depends if... So it's the 3 plus the 2.
It's a 2-0.
That makes 5. If it's 2-0, they'll get themselves up towards 9.
I believe so.
And then, whoa, Iconic takes a lot of damage. And then at that point, so there is a lot still to play for us.
And then
I had done my numbers wrong this morning.
And then at that point, they get all the way into the winners bracket. They're automatically seeded to the grand finals, and then they just cut through the rest of the opposition.
Okay,
and Liquid are the champions of Six Invitational 2024.
I had things a little bit wrong. You have things that you have read the rule book that I printed to you as a joke.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
That wasn't real?
Yeah, we trained Carter wrong.
You wrote real rulebook at the top.
Joke. Volps. I spelled it with 2 E's. Volps. Gets the swing at the bottom of black, removes Spoit. Gets the earlier take. The dock be gone. They haven't quite been able to have the impact over these opening 2 rounds as of this point, with Gomez sort of drifting his way with the crossfight. They're trying to get the pinch on Volps, but, I mean, he doesn't have to dabble too much. Remember where the site is and where he is. You could not be further away from it, and he's baiting attention with a shotgun.
The bomb diffuser.
this black stairs position is always difficult to clear and usually nets a lot of focus for the attacking side when they're attacking T and Karaoke. But right now, Volps is just, like you said, baiting, trying to get the attention of M80. Gomez buying into it, will attempt to take a fight, but one pump from Volps will be the end of him. There was nothing gained from M80 to really clear out this position.
No.
They're just feeding him bodies one by one. Volps doesn't get the 3-piece, unfortunately, so no stat padding right here, but still a lot of damage done to M80 on a wild goose chase to nowhere.
I mean, there's a minute left. They've lost 2.5 players because of that shotgun hit on towards Yoga, and they still have to, I don't know, do the whole utility clear of the map, of Dragon, of Terrace, of pushing up towards the side and the breach itself and playing against these players. Doesn't look good in terms of the trade out of the time itself. Diaz hoping somebody drifts in and then knocks Palu right back out. Great shot there. 3 apiece as they rotate round towards the opposite end.
Attackers
Hitting right onto the bar itself there. Sort of stepping in a little bit cautiously, a little bit coquettishly.
Ooh, that's a nice word. I like that word quite a bit. Do you know what else I think Liquid are big fans of?
What?
The fact that Iconics on low HP, M80 are flooding into the bomb site, right into the crosshairs of all the remaining Liquid players, and this should be a pretty easy cleanup on the second defensive round. Oh, hold on a second. DS Lucas does find one, and at least back in my North American Challenger League days, we referred to this man as the Clutch Minister, but he started the defuse, we've hit 0-0, and he hits the KD, and decides to give Liquid their first.
So I was still doing some maths.
Crunching the numbers,
So-
flipping them over,
Obviously.
sending them to me.
Okay. This is, imagine I'm
You're an island owner now.
pointing at a whiteboard and I've written down crazily Liquid, question mark, exclamation mark, 4 points, 9 kills.
That's just a heart.
I did just write heart.
That's so nice.
I'll show this production. You guys at home can't see. If they get into that situation, Virtus Pro off the top of my head, they're on 8 points. Bleed 6 or 7. You're supposed to be the stat guy.
I'm not the stat guy. That's not my thing.
If I ask this of Hap,
Attackers have located
It's almost
the
like we're
bomb.
different people.
wait, you're not Hap?
I can't do a Hap impression. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm all tangled up.
Can you speak any Dutch?
I can.
Oh, is
You wanna
something-
hear?
Is it? Can you say it on broadcast? Do you know
Yes,
what you're,
you can.
Do you know what
Yes,
you're
you
about
can.
to say?
I know exactly what I'm about to
Okay,
say.
say it.
10 seconds.
We hebben een serieus probleem. That means we have a serious problem.
Well, you know, you just said the English in an accent, surely.
Attackers
What?
are heading
Say it
out
again.
to defuse a
We
bomb.
hebben
Yeah,
een serieus
yeah.
probleem.
That you just said and serious problem at the end there.
Yeah, I know. Just because Dutch is an unserious language doesn't mean it's incorrect. I understand. I understand. It just looks like we have been in serious problem.
I didn't know Swedish Chef was speaking Dutch this whole time. 1 apiece. And M80, they'll start towards their approach. Their lineup is one that can sort of get a bit of a lockdown here. Liquid, they'll still be set up in their chairs because the numbers that I'm getting him to double check, if they are where I think they are, this is the problem about leaving my phone in the other room, is you could have them. If Liquid 2-0 this, regardless of the result later, they might guarantee themselves at least third.
Well, so and again, to actually credit to Hap, he is very more astute on the mini league rules.
Whoop.
But well, hold on, let's watch these Candelas happen.
Okay, well, you talk about it then.
Well, okay, well, all right, whatever, my fault. We saw some Candelas from Spoit, as I just mentioned. He's got 3 remaining. Shout out to me for picking out this key bit of information. But it is a barbecue and kitchen defense from Liquid. M80 right now are just trying to go for a standard top 4 clear, but Spoit all the way over on the exhibition side has used 2 Candelas to really accomplish nothing. Nesk is still chilling in minibar. Palu could easily support him from drum, or Volps could as well from shrine. And Gomez taking so much damage down below. We're a minute and a half in, and there's no progress from M80 on this top 4 clear.
Jesse's sending you messages about the questions that we are asking, and I guess M80 are trying to send themselves in towards the take directly onto the kitchen itself. Yoga gets the opener of Palu, and Legonis gets his Legonis shot off. As Gomez is going to try and drive his way in, they catch the EDs, and Gomez catches the end of Legonis with the grenade. Volps still holding on to the verticality, goes for a rotate right into Yoga. He's able to get the second. Nesk means that it's not going to be a flawless round. Ooh, just misses the take onto DS Lucas. we have another M80 round here.
So anyways, back to the maths.
Back to the math.
Basically, as we can all agree, M80 are playing, not M80, whoops, Liquid are playing for potential to go into the upper bracket. Right now, they're in the lower bracket, just in the position on the standings. A win in this game, be it 2-0 or 3-0, would very well put them in the upper bracket, depending on how the tiebreakers... I'm about to sneeze, hold on.
Do I actually have to hold on? Because professionally, I could just keep talking.
You can't
I'll
keep talking.
I'll just do
No, okay, I fought off the sneeze. I fought it off.
You want to finish your point?
My immune system running Hall of Fame defense right now. Actually, your immune system wouldn't fight the sneeze. So the point I was finishing was, obviously they're fighting to try and find a spot in the upper bracket, but there's potential they could they could tie with Bleed and Virtus Pro.
Yeah.
That's basically what the desk said.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, we listened to those guys.
I did.
I didn't.
You were in the bathroom.
Yeah, and my phone ran out of battery, so I went to put that on charge. I stole Tim. Sorry, wait.
We literally just reinvented the wheel.
I went over to Tim and I said, Tim, I need to plug my phone in.
5 seconds
And he
left
said,
before insertion.
I don't know what he said.
No, this is the time to do your
Oh, this is
again.
improv.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is improv.
He said, I don't have a charger.
Okay, that was the worst so far. 2-1, M80. They've doubled their success of the day, seeing as they weren't able to capture any of the attack rounds on the previous map on Club. Let's see how much they can drive. Now, Skyscraper was their map. That was their sort of situation here, and they can make things a little bit easier for the other two teams that are fighting for the second and third place. VP third place, VP and Bleed, who play later on, because the less points, obviously, Liquid get, even if they win it in 2-1, not a 3-0, as you said, that's impossible, it's not a best of 5, you will still see a little bit of benefit from the side of Bleeds, who could only need to get 1 extra. It means, well, in that case, everybody's sort of got stuff results. There's been a lot of overtimes, and a lot of 3 maps in this group.
A lot indeed. In no small part because of the chaos that W7M have thrown this group into by just not being, dominant enough to win 2-0 every series. And of course, dropping that game against Virtus Pro. And because Liquid have also beat VP, Bleed have beat M80, also put up a good showing against Liquid, because everyone has really taken points off each other, it's an extremely close affair that finds Liquid both in potential for elimination before this map happened, and also now in a position to potentially get all the way up to third or second, depending on what happens. But, of course, they have to get there first, and M80 actually have their lead. 2 attacks at the moment. And on T and Karaoke, they were able to find one here as well. But the clear onto Nest was a lot more successful last time, and Yaga hasn't just drive-by taken down 2 players like he did before. It's instead Liquid firmly holding on.
I mean, they just set themselves up. They had the early losses, you said, last time. This time they didn't get caught. They were able to sort of rebuild, restructure. They read where the approach from M80 was. Gomez up the house stairs does get 1, but quickly picked back up as they also find themselves once again in that familiar tale labeled Yaga is alone. Here he is. Not very long though, sent off Liquid. They stepped up. They've got the heat. Nice shots in the chat. They are more than happy to keep sort of setting them up. And I guess that's the thing about Liquid, is they start maps slow, but they really, I mean, what a time to find a rhythm.
I agree, and of course it's sad for M80, who up until this round have had the lead and now have had Liquid tie it up, but this is their map pick, and to M80's credit, they are playing this out. They are actually trying to go for some attacks. Sure, it's not the craziest things you've ever seen, but they're trying, and in a position like that, I would also be in extremely poor spirits and not really want to play this out. So I got to give respect where it's due, and M80 are putting up at least some decent attacks. Even if they're leaving some openings, we see Gomez moving up the house stairs to try to get some individual play, and a lot of that was an adaptation from Liquid, holding firmly onto that office and exhibition side with the Azami, stopping the way M80 opened it up previously, which is taking gunfights.
2 apiece, and, well, we'll find the rotates on the site, still sort of dancing around the second story, because it has been traded pretty cleanly back and forth. It always seems to be at least the primary or the tertiary
5
option
seconds
is
left.
available to them. They did dabble with kitchen, but I wouldn't really say
Attackers objecting
it's
out
sort
to
of up there
locate a
along the
bomb and
second
defuse
story
it.
sites to fight. And these two play in similar ways. If you're not entirely sure, you sort of will get that clarity and control across the opposite end. You sort of treat it like you would Villa when that was in the pool.
Rest in peace.
Yep, arrivederci. It's in Italy.
I couldn't think of another Italian word.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't speak Italian.
I mean, I can, it's a romance language. I learned Spanish. I imagine I could read some Italian.
It's a romance language, and you are so romantic.
Yeah, you know me. John W. Romance over
What
here.
did you do for Valentine's Day this year?
I wrote my partner a poem.
Oh, that's actually really cute.
Yeah, shut up.
I thought you were going to say I was alone casting Rainbow Six Siege.
Well, of course I didn't do it. I gave it to her before Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So not on Valentine's Day.
I guess I don't
On
know how good
Valentine's
the
Day, I was
poem
casting
is.
Rainbow Six. Wait, Valentine's Day was my day off, actually.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm happy to be here casting Siege with you.
Aw.
1 minute
have
gone.
located a
The
bomb.
breach onto the wall outside the site itself has been cleared, but the problems sort of follow on from this. This is always expected. At this point, you can get in and put some destruction underneath. There's electricity on the wall. A lot of teams will actually have one solid, one soft, so they can kind of rebuff it and play against it. The danger is actually being able to get in and move the players away from the samurai armor or the positions that are played powerfully on the back end. As I said, it clears like this, though. They start on the opposite end. They'll try and crack their way across towards this line first. Move the players out of drum, out of shrine, across back into the site, get the control here because, well, the wall behind them, you sort of see that runs all the way across, is just as impossible. Iconic finds Palu, and then they find Iconic back pretty quickly.
Iconic taking a big bit of control mini-bar, but it's kind of like those chess games where you get like, oh, I'm in their back line, I got this great piece. Oh, I just got taken by a bishop because I was on a diagonal. It's like, you immediately get traded.
I don't think you play chess right.
That scenario was using someone who made an incorrect move in chess.
Okay.
They were thinking short when they should have been thinking long.
I don't think I played chess right.
I don't play chess right either. But either way, now I'm made here in a very weird position where they just have to flood in through one singular doorway and hope Gomez makes it work on the other side of the map. Resets finds one, not the second. Excellent trade from DS Lucas, who has promoted himself to Finca, as Spoit has instead taken up the Ash. But they're still stuck outside the side, Emmy.
3 against 2, 30 seconds. They got to see if they can try and just piece a tiny bit of a hole, but Liquid, they're not really handing them anything. As I said, it's so, unfortunately, delicate. It's a lot of corners, checking 90s and popping your way in. Here, Yoga might not know about the player close to his left with a shotgun, but, well, he's about to. The C4 starts to pop. They have the full awareness on the location, and Volps cuts him in half. The shoeboxy design always makes things very, very tricky when you're in the man disadvantage because, well, you're one person, 2 eyes, 4 corners. That's too many to check, Carter.
Do we have anything that's 8 in there? Because you were doubling every number.
8 legs on a spider.
Give me 5 seconds to come up with some spider joke.
Reload. 5. Okay, say what's in your head. Doesn't have to be good.
Drop the diffuser.
You got to just laugh to yourself.
I don't have a joke. It's just a funny situation. It's just, it's just...
A funny situation involving a spider?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's no spider. Yeah, actually, you know a funny situation? This bomb site has a 100% defensive win rate. I think over like 4 plays. But I was talking to Hap earlier. We're like, every time we talk about this bomb site, we're like, it sucks. It's so bad. It's the worst. 100% defensive win rate.
10 seconds to insertion.
And then, of course, he was like, oh, there's, there.
5 seconds left.
Is that your hat? Why is he juggling? You guys can't see this at home. God just started waving his arms around. There was someone making balloon animals in the hotel earlier.
Dude, I saw that.
I was blown away.
I wanted one.
I think they worked for the hotel and they were just making balloon animals. Also, there's one of the elevators in the hotel. I'm obviously not the docs first. One of the elevators in the hotel bounces and it terrifies me.
Yeah, that's real identifying info. There's a slightly wobbly elevator. They don't have that anywhere else. Also, I'm laughing too hard. What's the voice that's like? It's Goofy was the voice I was doing. I started doing it happen. I just was like, this just sounds like Goofy.
Rainbow Six.
I know the tiebreaker rules. Who wants to see the mini league?
Liquid 3-2 up. Maybe we're the clowns making the balloon animals.
Maybe.
M80, they've been able to get 2 of their attacks there. They get 3, and they're actually sitting pretty to take this pretty far. Again, they're playing for sort of bleed and Virtus Pro at this point to try and put as much damage dealt into the points of Liquid. They could remove 3 points if they play this very, very well. They could at least remove 1. And I think the other team will be pretty happy about it because, hey, it will still have a seeding match. The implications are always there for the Bleed Virtus Pro Showdown later on. However, if they can sort of lock out Liquid here and keep them only on 1 point and win the eventual showdown, M80 sort of become the best friends of Bleed and VP.
Yes, indeed. If they can just keep Liquid at the bottom and Bleed VP, W7M obviously, but if those 3 get in the upper bracket, they'll be more than happy with that. Because even though Liquid might not be as strong as they used to be, especially missing the Atlanta Major, do you really want to have to face a best-of-3 with Nesk and Palu? No, you particularly don't. Lagonis even as well, able to find Gomez and make things a 4v4. M80 trying to take control of the Office Exhibition, not bomb site, just bit of the map. But they're facing so many problems. Palu, Nesk, the 2 players I talked about, they're holding on to this position as long as they possibly can because it controls all of the vertical to the bomb site beneath it.
Yeah, Palu played you, and now he's just going to try and hold on. Diaz Lucas jiggle peeking doorways and does find a take alongside Iconic on the back, but it is 40 seconds, a 3 versus 2, and they just have gotten some control of the verticality. They are missing the hard breach to be able to get the hatch open, so it's going to have to be stairs and a rotate to see if they can try and cause some destruction and devastation on the back line. I mean, at this point, you're just sort of fishing for players. Liquid, they quite enjoy playing this sort of moment, this sort of hold. They're very well documented as being, I think, trained and cautious.
Oh! That's my fantasy team!
That's your fantasy
Let's go! Vamos!
Why did you say that so uncomfortably? Vamos!
I don't think I said it uncomfortably. Are you making fun of the way I speak?
Yeah.
Fair play. Fair play. Chop busted. Chop busted, my good friend.
Was this what it was like when you cast with Parker? Because obviously we're doing a lot of juggling. I wasn't at Atlanta. I couldn't do this.
I didn't cast with Parker at Atlanta.
Here.
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 What game did we cast? No, we actually, that game actually, well, you know, meant something. Stop kicking my mic cable.
Did he bully you?
No, I mean, if he did, I think I like memory hold it for traumatic reasons.
It is your father.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So exactly to the point I just made. But I think we generally it was pretty serious. It was a Bliss versus SSG, and it ended up being 7-5 first map, 8-6 the second map.
Yeah, that was a heat.
Bliss also making it in over D plus Kia. Shout out to the Aussies.
Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi. And boy, oh boy, I wonder how this defensive half is going to go for M80 because we've had, of course, defender shot. Let's turn our minutes. Oh, mama, it's been a lot of defensive wins. But
I am so sad the photographers aren't in here to capture the madness that is ensuing in this room.
The point I was making was I'm interested to see if this ends up being again a defender-sided game and M80 might end up taking this in regulation and putting it to a map 3, or if Liquid have a solid attacking side, because we might have 2 maps that again don't really matter at all for M80, but are very important to Liquid depending on if they, you know, enjoy having an extra life in this tournament. So we'll see how M80's defense is faring if Liquid have to really fight for this extra seeding.
M80. Now, they are very good on their defense statistically throughout the tournament, even though technically everybody has been better. It's really where they've shined. And they've gotten themselves very deep in a lot of these games in a group that was cited at the very start as being that group of death. Diaz Lucas, the first to get a bit scrape from underneath, wants to double dip for the danger, and Nesk! His toesies were almost in a no-nosies there as they got shot on the back, the break of the barbed wire, and the push up towards the top. Volts with the cover of the blinds, and they're just taking the territory. Are they going to actually move all the way into the site? They slink past the Bs, but they haven't been rewarded with the bot D, and that's sort of that moment where they go, oh, okay, well, we need a little bit more support. Volps has to pull back after that utility dump because there was nothing for him to take, and he was entirely alone.
Normally we see the conversion into karaoke to try to go for a plant, but Lagonis falls back. They aren't able to fully get that pressure, even though there's nobody from M80 actually on backstairs. there's still a whole lot of guns trained on that position, and just walking in, if you're not a Montaigne, is a very difficult feat. So a lot of the time, that very reason is why we see a Monty brought if the attack is trying to go for an execute inside a karaoke from Black Stairs. You can shield yourself from all those guns, and Liquid do not have that same privilege. So a bit of a rotation. Now instead moving over to Office and Exhibition with only a minute left in the round. Very late rotation, very late in the round, Emmy.
I think that's the thing about Skyscraper is the rotates can take out pretty much all of your time, really. There's not many routes over the top as you have in a lot of maps. There's not many routes underneath you without having to do the clearance. So you're pointing at the screen.
Well, yeah, because then you got to walk through in a zombie sitting in a drum holding the one doorway you can run through.
Yeah, it's not comfortable for anyone. Spoit hops up round to the side, and Gomez hops Palu back down. They're still just trying to push behind Candelas, and well, that's not going to work, is it? Diaz, Lucas, and Yoga get one apiece. They finally flood in close to the bomb site, but the fact that they got towards the top of Black about a minute ago, nice Lagonis, swings around either side for the double, but he's got 10 seconds to find 3 players. Probably not going to happen when they've rotated underneath as well. Spraying, fighting, and unfortunately fleeing from the round. Point being, the first push almost felt half-cocked. You sort of say, I'm in sight with the Candelas, and the rest of them go, well, we're not.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, that's often why we see the Monty brought there. Even if you have a Ying on the board, which I think can be very useful, the Monty allows himself to both walk all the way up to top Black into the karaoke rotate, but then just sit there if he wants, making sure not to expose himself to any of the angles inside a T, but he can hold that bit of control. But if you don't have that, once the Candelas run out and the attackers, the defenders, regain their vision, they can start firing shots your way. They can start setting up crossfires. So without any work done on the Shrine side particularly, because that's the main spot that you could maybe fight those T players and shoot them in the back. Without that, you're just hoping you can either outgun them or you don't really have a chance.
Just a person with a dream.
A horse with a dream. Because look,
right,
a horse. That's the logo.
That is a horse.
Like the horse with their logo.
Didn't know it was a horse for long. There was someone who didn't know.
Just to be wait, hold on. You're saying somebody looked at that logo.
Yep.
At the top of the number 4.
I'm not just saying somebody looked at that logo. I'm saying a talent member.
Somebody I know.
A professional.
A professional rainbow stick.
I don't know if they weren't at this tournament, or it might have been someone. It happened at a different tournament, but I have a very vivid memory.
They didn't recognize that was a horse. What did they think it was?
I can't remember, but they didn't understand how negative space works, I guess.
I know what negative space is.
Yeah, well, you know it's a horse. A negative space, do you know what a negative space is?
It's a space that's not filled by something.
No, anyone that you are in 4-3, Liquid. They might lose their leading moment here. Carter is decimated. Once again, I've depressed the boy. M80, there's that play against the shield that he sort of asked for. Lesk on the back of it. Suddenly the pistol doesn't quite have the ER effect, but so does Palu. 4 versus 2. Gomez and Yoga. All that's left in the blink of an eye. The rush has come to a very powerful conclusion of a Liquid take that we've not really had much of throughout this tournament at all. It was so fast and succinct. Usually they've sort of been habitually not slow but cautious, I think is the fairest way of putting it. Solid at points, but here, with the play against the Impact, with the plant already in progress, that will not stop it. The 2 remaining M80 players try to buy some space back in. One goes down, and in a post plant in a 1 versus 4, and it's in the middle of the room. This is, I'm going to say, a bit beyond tricky. Yoga, he's got a close swing on his right-hand side against the half-hearted reset. And now he's just damaged himself. Vamos Liquid.
You know, the ironic thing is, when you made the negative space joke, before you made the joke about me, I was going to make a joke about how I was be like, the green room's a negative space, because all I get is made fun of.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I don't want to do that, because my best good buds are in there. And then I toss it to you. And you know what happens? I didn't toss it to you. I threw the ball right in the air, and you knocked me out of the park. What happened to shame? What happened to shame, Emmy? Huh?
Is this that t-shirt Parker wears?
No, that just is shame.
No. I thought you were just being very attentive to your best bud's clothing.
No, I wasn't. No, I was being
Can I
attended to my
your
best
t-shirt?
bro. It's a white T-shirt.
Yeah, can I write the word shame on it?
Oh, I thought you were gonna shame it.
No, I'm not going to shame it. It's a very generic T-shirt.
What the?
Winner. Or did that say? What did that say? I was looking at you. I wasn't looking at the screen.
Screen?
I looked back and I thought
They cut to the desktop by accident.
Oh,
As happens
10
sometimes.
seconds to go.
And so, I mean, honestly, I'm
5
gonna
seconds to
keep
go.
it. I'm gonna keep it 100% with you.
100%.
I want to see more rushes like that from
Attackers are
Liquid.
heading out.
Oh,
I do.
100%.
I do.
110%.
Because it's been a really slow game. I get it, Skyscraper. I get it. It's a slow map. Let's have some fun here. We've been playing. We've been sharing a lot of rounds. We've been throwing a lot of shots back and forth. A lot of jokes potentially at I don't know short bail R6 casters expenses. Let's see some more Blitz tomorrow play. Let's see some Candelas that aren't just clearing a small amount of space and then backing up. Let's see some good rounds.
5-3. M80. As I said, they're not playing for themselves at this moment in time. They're playing for as long as they're playing for, and then at that point, their season series at SI 2024 is done. However, they're also, as I said, playing against a team that does have some hurdles in front of them, some things to hop, skip, and jump over and through, and that is the 5 players of the M80 defense. Still locked in, set up, and ready to rock and roll. Diaz, well, I'm assuming that is gone on their side, not on ours. And a visual bug there, so he's happy to. It's the new operator ability, the doc buff.
That's the doc buff.
He's a ghost.
The doc buff is transubstantiation.
Yeah. Palu wants to try and powerfully pop around the corner. Nask, he's under a bit of pressure here as well. Spoit is stacked up on a close corner. I don't think that's gonna make the socials.
He just keeps running back.
I don't think that's gonna make the socials. Nask, he can see right through it and the player itself.
My day is ruined because of that.
Imagine if he walks up and just hits it. Oh, there's a fight right on the doorway. They didn't know about Nask, but they do get the catch on the opposite end. Can't see through that, though. That smoke is locked in. A 3 versus 2. They still have a fair little bit of utility. Now they have a little bit less, though. And to be fair, he was the only one with anything left. Volps tears through them, pepper and pop with secondary SMG, trying to get the cover of the plant itself. Do they know where Yoga is? He's been able to clutch out some big plays earlier on. He finds the first engagement, but it goes against him. Liquid, they sit on series point.
And you know what? There might not have been a Blitz or an Amaru, but I still appreciate that round. Sure, 2 kills has come from Nesk sitting outside the office balcony, but he's still capitalizing off a very aggressive M80 play. We see some flashy action. I appreciate that. Then all of a sudden, we cut to the overhead. New shot. And then after these plays, of course.
It's gone in the replay. That's
well, because the replays are probably from Nesk's POV, be my guess. It's not on his screen.
I don't know how things work.
Well, listen, you might not know. As a very professional,
I forgot your
as a
pro
professional
career.
content creator, I am very familiar with the potential visual glitches that can happen from the observer POV versus the player
How many
POVs.
subscribers you got?
I haven't posted in a couple months, but I have, I think, 23,000 followers.
It's not very good, is it?
How many do you have?
I was gonna, regardless of what number you said,
I know.
I was going to say that's not very good, is it?
Because yeah, I don't care. I don't need to prove myself to you.
What was your point
okay?
you're making?
I'm my own man. I can do what I want. What do you mean? What point I was making?
I don't know.
Well, the point I was going to make the point I talked about earlier was I was curious if we were going to see a very defender-sided game.
5 seconds
Then
left.
M80 might end up pushing us to a map 3. But no, instead Liquid with one quick round, and then one round that saw a lot of Liquid setup, and then a very quick execution into the site. Likely Volps weaving his way through a gap left by the defense. We saw a very explosive and exciting round, though not a quick one. That's a point I did just make.
I loved listening to it.
What did I say?
I don't know, something about TikTok. I don't know.
That's actually pretty much right.
Volps, half health, swings his way a little bit closer towards the fight potentially with Yoga, and in fact, no, it's Nesk that's come to try to offer the sort of back against it. VIP, and the house stairs gets opened up, and Yoga just slips away, but sort of pre-fires in the hope and the gambit that you get a little bit lucky on the back end of the hard breach popping off. You always have a second to sort of score behind the chaos of the smoke. Now with The swing in. They have 3 opportunities here to lock this out on their attack, lock out the series and get themselves ready to sort of sit pretty and watch the game later on and maybe hope for the best. And, well, there is the worst. Gomez is gone. Resets, gets the opener.
And also, if they do get this 7-3 victory, this will be a nice little buff for the round differential. Of course, winning the series 2-0, but a 7-4 followed up by a 7-3. This will be a very good victory, of course, specifically for the points and the tiebreakers that they are fighting for to try and make it all the way up as far as they can inside of Group C to save themselves from a lower bracket run on their final life. Goku be called going out. Not sure if Volps actually has, I was about to say, I think he only has 1 more left of the 2, and indeed he does. Falls off the drone, the Candela's flying through, but we saw Liquid get stuck very, very hard at this door. 2 drum and 2 shrine, and now that the reinforcements have come out, M80 are going to make their job even harder. Oh, never mind, they're just inside the bomb site.
They're inside. Now, at least one of them isn't. They've tried to sneak their way in, but the verticality is still dangerous. Iconic. Living up to his namesake and getting 2 dropped. They have this as well, the power play on the verticality. Solace works up and down, and, well, now 1 more player's down. Can he find it in time? It's just a dead body giving the game away. It's a post plant. That's a little bit of an oh-no, and they've snuck in, and Volps gets dropped down. They could try and get the pickup, not if the run-out comes from here. Spoit will swing. And he knows he might be being watched. He's going to look for the end of the player. There it is. There's the defuse attempt. The first ping goes halfway through. Iconic's holding on. He can't get the angle. Oh, Palu just finds it. The sliver of the side there resets all that's left to stop this defuse attempt. There's only a little bit of time. He's going to go for the fight. The drop onto the first. They pulled off for the second, but just makes it happen. No!
Oh, he got it.
Oh, that was almost very bad. No, says the observer. There is an order that interactions happen, and picking up a player is the highest priority.
It would. That would have been.
It would have been.
That would have been very effed
I'm
up.
glad you can say it.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They clutch that round, they stop the defuse, and then they go out because Yaka accidentally started picking up Spoit on the ground. Oh, look at it.
The slow-mo. No! Let me die! They stave off death 1 more time. 6-4. Now they have 2 more rounds to get themselves into OT. And it has been a bit back and forth. Obviously, it was a 4-2 on the opposite end, with 3 of those rounds from Liquid being sort of threaded in a row. They still have that momentum, that gap, and that distance to put as we head over towards karaoke.
I don't think I've told you. I like your shoes.
Thank you.
Nice little baby blue.
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
My baby blue.
Beautiful. Is that the karaoke song you sing?
No, it's the ending to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could sing that. You could go up to the karaoke, look through the book.
Come on. Almost.
You could see he was like, as well.
He was like, if only Carter was singing right now.
I wanted to kill that guy.
If only I had a soundtrack.
I really wanted to kill him.
I would have hit that shot.
Resets. That's the difference. All the teams, you think they're listening to white noise. It's actually just Carter played.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually forgot that you could rappel up there. Well, I mean, you don't see anybody do it.
Thank you for not lying. The C4 out the window. Goes fishing, doesn't catch anybody. Iconic does find one, and no! Almost gone. The cheeky double there inside the site, and they get locked down pretty quickly. Nesk watching everybody die around him like the opening of Saving Private Ryan, but at this point, with all the explosions too, he doesn't quite have the benefit of the slow-mo and the super cinematics of Spielberg. Nesk, heavily injured at this point. We get a break and a little bit of second in the action with still, again, a lot of utility. That's the other side of the rush at this point, but how do you piece things together from here? When you've already sort of played your hand, well, Gomez, he's going to rotate around and try and open up the back. Stuffers from the back end. Yoga and Palu find 1 apiece. It's a 2 versus 3 with Palu eking his way into the site, and Bob's in control of top. Black going for the plant. The cover from Diaz Lucas gets 1. Palu, a 1 versus nobody. Well, a nobody versus 3. He was the 1.
A 0 versus 3.
It's a 0 versus 3. Everybody this tournament has been making fun of how I talk because they sound so common.
I didn't make fun of you.
How dare you?
I didn't make fun of you. What? What did I do?
Do you know what you would voice very well?
What?
Like either an animated character.
Yeah, you compared me to Gilbert Gottfried a few times.
I have compared you. I did compare you to Gilbert.
Oh my God, Spoit going for the peak. That's incredible.
6'5". I think you would do a Muppet very well. Like.
Oh, do you think so?
I'm Kermit.
Hi, everybody.
the Frog.
Kermit the Frog here.
I'm Kermit the Frog.
Oh boy, Yaga had 13 kills.
6 to 5.
I hope they win. That was another good rush for. I swear, it's like they actually heard my call and they're like, "We are just going to start rushing every round." Because
apparently
we see the Amaru fly into the karaoke window. Yes, the karaoke window. We also see Nest hop into Geisha. But again, the downside of rush is if you don't win those first initial engagements or have the proper countermeasures set up, you're very susceptible to a couple frag-heavy players, or I suppose fraggingly inclined players.
Yeah.
You know?
Gunners.
Fragadocious.
Fuggylicious. Oh, that's a Fuggylicious play.
I think Volps is Fergalicious.
Yoga gets it down. Nice shot comes out in chat as 2 bodies hit the further floor. One of them has hit the temporary floor. It's Volps. They should be able to get them up. Lagonis is watching the cover to make sure nobody swings out. Liquid, they know how close they are. The C4 a little bit too wide, a little bit too late to truly have the impact that it wants. A 5 versus 3. Liquid are in the best position possible to close this out, but they still have to close it out. They have been their worst enemy on some of these attacks before, where they've had themselves in a 5 versus 3 position, and then things have got a little bit awry. The pressure got a little bit too high, and there is a huge amount of experience in this lobby on that team. Oh, filthy from Iconic. A hell of a twirl and a spin, dropping Volps and knocking him back out of the board. It's the first. They're a little bit closer to having an even hand now.
Yes, indeed. Gomez falls back down into the sights as well, maybe trying to channel some of that action Iconic has brought to the party. Got a couple quick peeks, a few shots, and a kill to make it a 3v3. Nesk outside of the bathroom window. Can also try to do that in turn. Really no top floor pressure at the moment from Liquid. All really trying to take gunfights with the M80 players, but the flashbangs go in. Are we just going to have Nesk vault in another window and try and go for kills? Who knows?
Now, obviously, there's a player disconnected on the M80 side here, but they're already one of the ones that had died. So at this point, it's just one less player on cams. Palu does get destroyed with the swing and the take on the single player. There's a bit of a brawl back and forth. They try and fight through, but there it is. Liquid get themselves the 2-0, the 4 points, and the little penciled in second place in the group.
Key modifier there, penciled in, of course, because things could change depending on the results of Virtus Pro Bleed, who they're tied with by the end of the day, how that tiebreaker even shakes out. But what we can say for the moment, as you said, they have jumped all the way up to just beneath W7M in their group, and also created a nice little nest egg round differential. Of course, because they didn't win 7-3, they won 7-5, but still gained some bonuses on the rounds, gained the head-to-head over M80, a lot of different things that they just won, but most importantly are now almost at the position to crawl out of that lower bracket spot. They would have been seeded 2 had they lost this game. Well, if they lost this game, they would have gone home. But, you know, point being. But
for everything that was put forward here, that is the end of the road for M80. From this point onwards, their SI experience is going to be watching the teams that progress. Liquid have done everything they could today and had some of the best play that they have done, a full stop. However, we know what they're capable of, they know what they're capable of, and they know that their position isn't locked in yet, so they will be keenly aware of whoever they find in the following games.
And also just that Virtus Pro Bleed game. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Who do they need to fear, of course, but also how that result impacts them. But that's for people who are smarter than Emmy and I. Let's throw it to the Eggheads and my good best buddy Manic on the desk to break it all down.
There's the heart. I drew Carter. He's very small.
Well, fair enough. We do have some eggheads here, but I can't believe you called Lagonis an egghead. That's not very nice, Carter. Lagonis congratulations on the win. I don't want to talk too much about map 2, but I want to talk about map 1 specifically. Obviously, you know that once you win that map, it's all over. What's going on inside the head?
So before, after we winning the first map, like we need to keep like our focus. But in first map, we know the value of that map for them at least. But yeah, it was a great battle. We do like struggle a little bit on attacks. We did too, but it was okay. And on defense, like we were so like focused and doing all together. So it was very nice.
Just talking on that map 1, obviously that's kind of the map we want to focus on here because that was where everything really mattered. We saw players like Nesk just come alive, you know. He's had his moments, obviously, throughout his career. What's it like now with him, you know, performing? Because in map 1, it looked like the old Nesk, right?
Yeah, no, Nesk was insane. Like every round, probably he got like 3 kills in every round.
Yeah.
I think he probably got around 17 kills in total. And we call him Blue in Brazil, like it's Curator, probably in English, the call on church bomb site. He like kill everyone there. So it was very nice. I was screaming to them like, you did it so well. So yeah, I'm very happy for him and for the team.
Something that we sort of spoke about a little bit on the desk was that you've actually got a lot of plants.
Yep.
You're one of the highest planters inside of the whole tournament at the moment. And one of the problems that we kind of identified was maybe struggling out on the roam clear. That was something that you actually did quite well on Clubhouse. Is that something you've really been working on so that you've got that good roam clear at the start of the round and then can still get the execute down on the attacks?
Yeah, like I agree a little bit. Like I don't think like we are struggling that much on roam clear. More in the execution. Like a lot of times we have 4v2s or 5v3s and we are losing. So I still got some plans, but it's not good enough in the execution. I think in the when we got the lurkers, like it's okay, but execution is the problem for now. And we are talking a lot about this in every day. So I hope that today was a little bit better. Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about this. You know, like,
that's fine. I want to make sure that you've got your questions out.
I got a couple of questions out. I'm good, yeah.
No, all right, cool. Look, Otis, look, I've got to ask you, obviously, now that you're headed into playoffs, we've seen you in a couple of best of threes now. How's the confidence building?
Yeah, I think like now we got a lot of confidence. Like we got a little bit disappointed because we lose against Bleed. Like we were so close to finish that Oregon and we got that comeback. So yeah, we struggle a little bit, but in my opinion, if you have a tough group stage, you get more mental to the playoffs. So that's my mentality and what I try to bring to the boys too. So yeah, we are much more confident right now, and let's see how we can do.
Yeah, so one big question I have, we asked Paolo, I'm going to ask you as well. What would it mean for you to play in front of the Brazilian crowd?
Well, for me, it would mean probably everything. Like for us, like people that live in Brazil are Brazilians. Like playing in the crowd probably is a dream. Like for everyone, and probably is the moment that we have most joy on stage. For me, like if we qualify for the arena, it's probably the best tournament that we can feel. Like because it's different. Like I played last year the Brasileirão finals, and we have a little bit of the Liquid crowd was amazing, and we know that Liquid crowd is the biggest one in Brazil, so it would be insane. So I hope that we can go there.
Look, honest, I think everyone is hoping that you make it to the main stage. It would be incredible. Would you like to say anything to the viewers at home before we let you go?
Yeah, for everyone that was cheering for us, thanks so much. Like we struggle a little bit in the group stage, but as I said to the boys here, like if we struggle, like we get more with mental strength. So yeah, looking forward to the playoffs. Thanks a lot, guys.
Congratulations, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
See you guys.
All right, moving forward, that is Liquid through. They're currently second place. Now, it can't stay that way. It's not physically possible, but they're in second place, which looks good for a second. But M80, near airport. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, unfortunate for M80 there. They are going to bow out of the competition here inside of the groups. We had to say goodbye to one team, and that is going to be the team out of Group C. Focusing on Liquid, though, and that performance that they had today. What a day for Nest to come online. What a day for resets as well. We got Vault there. A lot of players hitting above that 100 EPS mark where we are expecting these players to perform. They also did pretty handily on that entry. We highlighted Volps in the pre-show. He ended up +4 alongside of Nest.
Yeah, for sure. And, we saw Team Liquid battling it out. There were a couple of, rocky rounds here and there coming through from Team Liquid. Rounds where M80 were battling back. But I think it's fair to say that Liquid were in control through the majority of the second game, as we'd expect them to be, given the stakes of this game. So, yeah, impressive stuff all around. I am happy to see Ness continuing to frag out. I think he has been their best player consistently throughout this tournament. So it's nice to see a little bit of old Ness coming through. It's always good to see him at SI. And I'm excited for Liquid. They have locked down that upper bracket, which gives them a really good opportunity now to actually push forward and make a deep run through SI. Because if you start in the lower bracket, it's very difficult to make your way all the way to the main stage where you're playing in front of a big crowd. Liquid now have a very solid chance of being in that position.
Absolutely. And, you touched there on the chance that they've got now with them being potentially inside of that upper bracket. You actually threw a fun stat at me earlier that we haven't had an upper bracket winner that actually goes to the end of SI for quite a while now, though.
Yeah, we haven't had a team finish first in their group and win the Six Invitational before.
Wow. So Liquid could be second, so it's guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, second. The last couple of SIs with this format. I should add that as a caveat. That's important. With the current format, there has never been a team to finish first in their group and make it all the way and win the grand finals. There's also never been a team to start in the lower bracket and make it all the way. All the winners with this format have finished either second or third.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very cool stat.
There you go.
You're the stat man, aren't you?
That's kind of what I do.
Skitty bit of Now, look, the conversation for Liquid, it is a question I want to ask you, Ollie. You've obviously seen a fair bit of Liquid, and especially over this past week. How confident are you going into playoffs with this roster? Do you feel like they've developed enough across this week to head in with potentially a favorite mentality?
I think they've got that opportunity now, right? They've got a day off. They can hit that reset. They can chill out, watch the game that's going to be going on later here on this stream, and just see where it takes them. We know that they're a team that, can get inside their own heads a little bit at times, and they've been on the biggest stages. They've been in an SI Grand Final, and they haven't been able to convert it, albeit different roster, but a very similar core. You're mainly looking at Nesk. You're mainly looking at Palu. So for me, I think that with the added pressure of that Brazilian crowd, we've already called Liquid the sort of hometown sweethearts. They are the sweethearts of Brazil. They are the team that everyone gets behind. You could see there Lagonis, he was excited to get himself in and amongst that.
Yeah, and coming through with the standings now, of course, yet to be played. M80 taking on Bleed taking on Virtus Pro next. Yes. M80 will be going home. For those two teams, this now becomes a battle of who makes it into that upper bracket versus who will be starting down in the lower bracket. And I mean, those are two very tough teams to be going up against.
This is critical. I do feel this is a critical game because the last thing you want to be doing as either Virtus Pro or Bleed is having a group the way that you have and then going straight into the lower bracket to kickstart playoffs. That would be pretty devastating.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we could go into and we will end up digging into about this game. But you look at where Liquid have positioned themselves right now, that round differential is going to start to maybe look a little bit important, depending off this next game is a 2-1 or a 2-0. Then you're going to start to look at rounds. Then we maybe sort of criticize that skyscraper a little bit more heavily and go, maybe Liquid could have got the job done a little bit sooner on there.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Well, it would have been nice too. Who knows? But one person that we were talking about at the very start of the day was actually Gomez. We were talking about it in the green room. He obviously had some pretty decent stats coming in for M80, and he is our Intel play of the game. Cheeky little 4K, in fact. Back on club, if you can throw your mind back there, Jesse.
Yeah, this round is the basement defense coming through from M80. Managed to get a couple of kills there, lock it down. Very important back then. That's when we still didn't know that was going to be a 3-3 split, 4-2. It's been nice to see Gomez have a really strong tournament. He's had some weaker events. I think start of the year, Gomez was not really a player that we talked about as having fantastic performances on M80. But for him to come through now, I think the second half of the year was really strong for Gomez here at SI. He proved himself to be one of the top teams top players on the team alongside Spoit. So I'm very happy to see that from him.
Yep.
I guess we had to give M80 something, right? Nesk died for that. Nesk played lights out on Clubhouse. I'm very surprised that he didn't get it, but I suppose kudos to Gomez.
Absolutely kudos. It's time for us to move on. It's time for us to have a look at the final match of the day on both streams, of course. Actually, technically, we're still in a game right now. Scars and Falcons go head-to-head. That is also an elimination match. We have had 4 elimination matches today. That is the final one that is going to be played. I actually think that's really cool. We literally had 4 head-to-heads. Whoever won stayed on. So that's a cool little fact for you. So Falcons, just to give a little bit of context, they went 7-5 in the first map. Not sure how they're doing now. Unfortunately, my eyes were firmly on this one. But the final game of the day. This one, not just the day, sorry, but the entire
All the groups.
All the groups, yeah.
God, it's gone so fast.
It's blown by. It's blown by.
Yeah.
So quickly.
Yeah, way too quickly. But speaking on that, Bleed, VP, which way you in?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't know what to expect from this Bleed roster anymore. Like, they have come out and they've surprised time and time again. I can't wait to get into it.
Well, speaking of getting into it, Jesse, I think it might be time. Let's go to a very short break. On the other side, it is the final matchup for the A stream here. Oh, I can't wait for it. We'll be back after this.
When I was 14, 15, I used to watch the original D2 Dynasty play at the Invitational, and I could always envision myself playing here, but I never thought I would actually make it.
I feel so excited because this is my first I, and I want to improve myself, not just playing good this tournament. I want to win this I.
It's my first time playing at the Invitational, and there's not really any expectations on us. So we're just going to have fun, play free, and see what happens.
You know, coming to our side personally, it doesn't really feel real. You know, you're playing this game at home, but then you're here competing against the best.
제가 이 인비테이션을 처음 오게 돼서 기분은 되게 좋은데 옛날부터 이제 어릴 때부터 이제 게임을 하면서 그 게임의 이제 최고 대회, 이제 최고의 대회를 한번 나가고 싶었는데 그 대회를 나가서 지금 너무 떨리고 기분이 좋고 솔직히 잘할 수 있을지 모르겠지만 되게 굳세게 지금 각오를 하고 네, 대회에 임하려고 하고 있습니다.
The penta with EG in the grand final, yeah, I think that's my first watching SI. I feel like just wow, you know.
Being in Sao Paulo is really amazing, especially for Rainbow Six. The community here is so supportive.
And, I want to see the crowd. I think will be so crazy.
Ça a toujours été iconique d'être au Six Invitational. Mais là, en plus que c'est au Brésil, ben, c'est nouveau, ça donne envie d'aller chercher le trophée, quoi.
Of course, I hope one day I would come and somehow I'm here.
I'm feeling ready to compete and you know, win this thing.
Acho que vai ser realmente uma experiência surreal, assim, uma experiência única na minha vida.
I feel really excited to play SI in Brazil because all my family is coming for the final, so it's gonna be really, really crazy.
É algo que sempre faltou na minha carreira, poder ganhar um campeonato aqui no Brasil.
Todo brasileiro quer ganhar o campeonato aqui, até agora não aconteceu isso em nenhum jogo, e eu acho que isso vai ser muito especial se acontecer.
Eu vou ser bem honesto, eu acho que eu sempre sonhei em jogar com uma plateia grande aqui no Brasil.
O brasileiro realmente é único nessa forma de torcer, então acho que vai ser algo insano.
A torcida brasileira tem muita energia, eles gritam a cada kill, você quebra um drone, eles vão gritar, eles estão ali por tudo, vão comemorar, não importa. E é tudo que a gente quer estar naquele palco ali para escutar essa torcida.
Todo mundo tá falando muito da gente, falando que a gente é o favorito pro campeonato. Eu acho que a gente sabe disso, a gente sabe o quão a gente é bom. Realmente, o pensamento de ganhar o Six Invitational e ganhar 3 campeonatos seguidos vem um pouco à mente. E se a gente conseguir fazer isso, realmente a gente vai conseguir entrar para a história do Rainbow Six.
Então vamos pra cima, o Brasil vai ganhar com certeza. E é isso, conto com vocês.
Então vamos curtir bastante, torçam aí pros seus players favoritos, que vocês acompanham há anos aí, e vai ser muito divertido.
Think someone's there, you don't follow up on it. So it's like, was it just thrown for the sake of throwing? Not the round, but the flashbang. Or is it like you think someone was there, but you didn't know if you could go for a safe swing because of who was still around inside the workshop? So yeah, you got to work together there at that point. Sure, great if you can all win your individual ones. However, if it does go wrong, you want someone to be there to clean up the mess for you.
Just do that extra legwork. Just it doesn't require that much. Just a simple drone rolling in there and being like, hey, confirmed he's in here, he's playing this angle. Obviously, he can still move or whatever, but that's the kind of stuff that you need to make sure that you are looking into before making some of these moves. And for Falcons, they definitely did not make sure that they were looking down their task list inside of that last round. And see if they can get it going, though, for round 6 here is so far so good for them, and they're definitely going to be happy about the amount of damage that they just dealt to Wreck.
I think they're already happy with the 3 rounds they have on the attack as well. I think it's great with the current meta that we're in inside of Siege and during the Invitational as well. So if they manage to put this up to a 4th one, they're putting themselves in a really good position for this series, as I believe Wreck just fell back towards the bottom floor as well. He's not going to be sticking around much longer. Of course, has an impact that he can still play, but I'm not really sure what he's trying to achieve with that one.
It's a really rough look right now for Scars. Fishlight going to be the lone member on this top floor as of right now to try and hold things down. But on second glance, I looked over, Peon actually is going to be up here as well. So going to try and open things up on the back end for him. E1D out, and he's actually going to run across. They should be more than aware there's 2 people over here now. A nice little shot there as Q6 swings in through because of that man running across. But now P9 shooting on the other foot. He'll take out Taiyu. Valentino considering this drop right now. Fishlight still up top, and Scars, there is some potential here, but now J-Lad gonna shut down at least one. There's another one's in the area flirting with it as of right now, but Peon's not going to give him that swing.
Pion was actually the bait there because as you saw Fishlight jump up, he got spotted outside going into CCTV, so they wanted to go and take the fight from break room before he got into a better position. And so they managed to get the opening kill out there, so well done by Scars, but they're not able to fully transition it into a round advantage yet. Now, of course, J-Lad will go down, Valentino drops as well. This is the moment where Scars need to be able to lock this off, but kills comes through. Manages to find one, knows of one of the positions as his teammate just fell, and that with that, dropped the diffuser. Just needs to find the other 1v1 right now. He just doesn't know exactly where Pion is, and Pion going for the long rotate, going up top as well. So is Washoy, so they're both going to be playing it from this direction. And with that, they're hoping to make sure that he's just not going to be able to recover that diffuser and go for the plant. As soon as he jumps through that window, should be a swing from Washoy to come through. And there you have it indeed.
Very well done from Scars. 3-3 now after that round, and I will say this: Falcons still with some strong considerations there, able to find a lot of ISO'd kills and things along those lines. But Scars making the most of that top floor setup. You know, it really looked really risky once Office was completely in the favor of Falcons. But the one thing is that they got a little bit too focused on these guys over here in CCTV. I know this might be shocking to you, but that's not the bomb site. You don't even honestly need it at all for anything that's going on in the other portion of the map. You can simply set somebody on top east. And guess what? They can't rotate into you. They either have to rotate across and try and get all the way over through archives, or they drop down the hatch and try and reassess things in through customs, in through jungle, in through server.
I think what happened there is the fact that, of course, we did see the spot coming through. They didn't know that Toyoi just walked out there, was spotted outside of Armory going into CCTV. They probably would have hoped it was an easy pickup, a free pickup, right? But then there was a second player, and at that moment it's like, okay, there's 2 players in here. We've just lost 1-2, and we kind of need to like put some resources towards it and make sure that we might be able to bring back that number count. But with that, you lose a lot of time on the opposite sides of the map, sadly. And as a result, not able to really put the pressure where it was necessary instead. But again, I like the bait we saw from Scars there. Is that must have been like on purpose, because you see him pop up on the desk, and within a second, your teammate gets spotted outside of Armory. There's no way that wasn't intentional.
Yeah, it was a super smart way to build that up. I think he wanted to rotate over there anyways for the rotation, so it wasn't exactly like, hey, you're strictly doing this because of the bait, right? But to build upon the back of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, we'll get you here, and we get a free kill out of it, potentially.
That's a chess game of Rainbow Six Siege. Just think that one step ahead, and sometimes you can get some pretty cheap kills.
Welcome back from the break. Yes, you were just watching the B stream. It is in fact live. It is 3-3. Falcons are up 1-0 in the series, so that one will turn out to be quite an interesting matchup. But speaking of interesting matchups, it's time for us to dive into our final game here on the A stream. It's Virtus Pro taking on Bleed. The implications for this, Jesse, are actually pretty big.
Oh yeah, both these teams really want a win here because if you lose this game, regardless of who you are, you will be starting your SI run in the lower bracket. That means one life. That means no matter what, if you lose, you are going home. No team has ever won SI starting from the lower bracket. If you win, the implications are slightly different. Bleed will still be in the upper bracket if they get the victory here over Virtus Pro. However, Virtus Pro will lock down first place in their group, taking that spot away from W7M, which will give them an extra round. It'll give them a bye through the first round of the upper bracket.
It's kind of exciting, actually, thinking about the fact that there are so many implications for this. It is a very, very close series. There will be no doubt about it. Let's go ahead and talk about Bleed. A roster really coming into this that many were kind of thinking, hey, was it a fluke? Were they going to be able to back it up? Ollie, I think we've answered it.
I feel like we ask that question of a lot of teams at the moment. We're asking, are they the real deal? Are they going to be able to come in and do this again? Obviously, the big change for Bleed coming into SI was bringing Julio on as the coach, and it seems to be working quite well. They seem to be able to replicate some of that form that they found at previous majors, namely Atlanta, and almost better it in some ways. They've got some good results against some good opponents here. They are in a very tough group. They were able to pick up a map here off W7M. They were able to pick up a result against Liquid. So you start to believe, this team is the real deal.
It is the real McCoy, to be fair. They have really turned up time and time again. Jesse, what have you thought about some of the individual performances? Reaps is a player that in APAC is probably one of the sharpest gunners.
Yeah, I think two players who have really stood out to me and impressed me have been Reaps and Mentalist. These two players have polar opposite playstyles. Reaps is incredibly aggressive. He's this young fragger. He is nutty good with the sensitivity and with his kills. And Mentalist, he's the old guy. He's the hard support. He's not supposed to be getting all those frags, but he has been playing really well. And the thing about these two is they are not just complete opposites, but they also complement each other so well. Reaps wouldn't be able to be the monster on entry that he is, 18 and 12, if it weren't for Mentalist droning in behind him and giving him that support. And Mentalist wouldn't be able to have the second most clutches out of any player at the Six Invitational if it wasn't for Reaps on the roam, coming back, getting those flanks, causing disruptions in the attack, which will enable Mentalist to go for those clutches. So I've been really impressed with those two, how they help each other out despite playing completely different roles. It's been really impressive to watch.
7 clutches between them as well. That's a lot of power that you've got there. Top through bottom, you've got it at the start, you've got it at the entries, and you've got it at the end. You've got it in those supports. The other thing that is incredibly impressive, you touched on it there, is the sensitivity. We were talking about this in the green room the other day. I think Reaps uses about this much of his mouse mat, and if you watch his hand, it's tiny movements and he's just pinging heads.
It's honestly some of the more wild things I've seen. I saw the
He's
point
the
of
only
view
pro
shot.
that does it. He's the only pro that does it.
Watching him in the scrim in the back room, like from behind him, it is absolutely terrifying to see how good he is. But let's go ahead and start talking about a roster that has certainly earned their stripes here. We were umming and ahhing coming into this tournament, Jesse. We weren't entirely sure what we were going to see, but they've delivered.
Yeah, I was a big VP believer coming into this, especially with the meta changes that we're seeing, things kind of slowing down, Two-Brow coming through. And what was shocking to me, even coming in as a VP believer, is their map pool. Incredibly changed versus what we've seen. VP have been this static team time and time again, banning the same maps over and over again, but we're seeing Border come out for them. We're seeing Skyscraper. We're seeing all these new maps come forward for Virtus Pro, and it's been a breath of fresh air. We've seen a lot of players really start to get into their groove. I think Virtus Pro have gotten better and better and better with every series that they've played, and this could be the moment where they pop off and finally secure that first place in their group.
I think it's a good time to be a VP believer. The stock is surely going to go up. It surely has to. You look at the performance that they're putting in top through bottom, it's a very well-rounded team. For me, VP are one of the best teams at those fundamentals that we often talk about. Let's get the basics right. Flank drones, opening breaches, getting utility. Like, this is bread and butter for VP. They play in a slow play style, methodical, and it allows them to be able to do a lot of those things and not really miss them. Stuff doesn't tend to slip through the cracks. I hope I'm not setting them up for a big fall here today, but for me, their fundamentals have been spot on.
if Reaps and Mentalists were the players that you were looking out for on Bleed, do you have players to look out for on VP?
Yeah, I think players like Pasha and Dan have been probably the two that I've noticed the most from. I think on defense, they can kind of play different styles, but still have a huge impact on one another. Dan has been a real rock, put him in a tough position, put him in a room that he needs to hold down, and he'll be really, really confident of that. He's also a player that's gotten a lot better throughout the tournament. His last couple of games have been fantastic. And then Pasha, I think he just brings that energy to Virtus Pro that they maybe haven't had in previous years of this roster under different organizations. I think he's been really, he's added that spice. He'll go for flanks sometimes. He'll do things that you're not expecting, almost like a Philippe Hawks type playstyle, reined in a little bit. But I've really enjoyed him coming through from Virtus Pro. I think just adds that little bit of flavor to what can sometimes be a very rigid team.
That's fair. And to be completely honest, I remember watching in the green room for the W7N game, and he was losing his mind. Pasha was absolutely losing it. Every time they won a round, he was up and about for the rest of the team. Now, I think we might actually have time to do this. Generally, we don't. But I want to theory craft the maps really quickly, Jesse.
Ooh, okay.
Where do you think we're going to end up?
Gosh, this is a tough one because for Virtus Pro, they've got such a brand new map pool. I do think, though, for Bleed, it should be very obvious. They've picked the same map in games 1, 2, and 3. They have always gone for Oregon. So I already tweeted out, actually. I'm expecting a very simple Oregon pickup for Bleed. Yeah. Virtus Pro, very unlikely to ban it, in my opinion. Yep. So I expect Bleed's pick should be obvious.
Ooh, that could be really interesting if we do see a ban. Let's go ahead and go to them, and Ollie, maybe you can break them down for us. The map vetoes for this matchup. Cafe Labs, Oregon and Chile.
Jesse, come on. You're better than this, bro.
Okay, you know what? I like this from Bleed. I didn't expect it because they have played it every single game so far, but this is arguably Virtus Pro's best map. So although you're confident on it, you're banning it against your opponent, that's saying that we trust our own map pool. We can play more than just Oregon. That's a confidence ban in my mind.
I like the skyscraper pick as well. I think that Bleed have obviously gone into this with their eyes wide open. Historically, it hasn't been a map that VP have preferred, but they have started playing it. They have started leaving it open as deciders inside a best of 3. So there is certainly some recent footage to go off here for Bleed on that skyscraper pick. The bank is the one that kind of worries me because Bleed have left that open. It is a fantastic map for VP. That much cannot be understated. It is their highest pref. I'm very surprised to see that there.
Certainly. I mean, this is a map that every team in Europe tends to ban against Virtus Pro. It's not one that anybody likes to bring them on. I will say it's been relatively comfortable for Bleed. They did beat M80 on it back in Atlanta, if you'll recall that game. Not a ton of plays here at SI. They've yet to play it, but still, I think it's going to be a map that they can at least contend with, but VP are very scary there.
It's kind of crazy the fact that I saw Bleed ban out Oregon after what we've seen. That is still baffling me. It's actually quite incredible. But you know what? We don't have to theory craft anymore. We don't have to worry about it because we are getting into game number 1. We're headed to Skyscraper.
And yet another duo that has never worked together before. I am with the Aussies. Today, we are former colonists.
Are we?
Yeah, of the UK.
That's true. I forget about the motherland sometimes.
We are the colonies. Except we have shed the Union Jack from our flag.
And we still maintain it. Oh, well, it is what it is. Big game, though, of course, and for what will be the last game for Stream A, Virtus Pro and Bleed. And a lot on the line, Parker, as well. For Virtus Pro, they can finish anywhere from 1st to 4th.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot for us to go through, and obviously it's difficult for us to say it when there's no graphical asset to help us along the way. So instead, why don't we just wait and then talk about it after map 1, or even have the desk go through it, frankly, because it's more their job. Either way, we'll go to Japan. Skyscraper on the board first. Bleed has been a surprise, and I feel like there's been a lot of oxygen expended talking about this Bleed roster. But on the other side of the screen, I don't necessarily think there's been enough of a conversation about how Virtus Pro has seemingly bounced back. This is a team who's came into this event with expectations quite low. They kind of snuck their way into SI. They haven't looked anything like the way they used to when they played under the Team Empire banner. They've been, in many ways, a shell of their former selves. But Virtus Pro has had flashes of brilliance so far at this event. Some surprising results. They go up against Bleed, and really, it's two teams that I think have surprised a lot of people facing off.
I think especially for Bleed in the group that they've been in when we got the groups initially, W7M, Team Liquid, Virtus Pro, M80. Yeah, admittedly, for those a little bit unfamiliar with Bleed, despite the fact they've made a name for themselves back in Atlanta, obviously many would have had them as being the team to get grouped. Well, they have avoided that. Of course, the catastrophe that is M80, the spot fire that they are as a team, they go out in last. So the good news in terms of this particular match, we don't have to worry about will they, won't they go home. It's simply, will they qualify for first if you're Virtus Pro? Will they get a higher seed if you're Bleed? So both teams at least still have something to play for. For Bleed Esports can go as high as second place. In terms of what that means, of course, if you avoid fourth place, you get to go straight towards that top end of the bracket. There's that wonderful, that fish, and of course there's a mannequin now involved as well. Lots happening for Bleed Esports, but nevertheless, for Virtus Pro, they can win, doesn't matter how, 3 maps, 2 maps, doesn't matter, they'll go top of this group.
Yep. Is there a prop department that Bleed employs for these things? I mean, how do you get a mannequin? Like, I understand the fish. You go to Bass Pro Shops, you buy a fish, it was $25, whatever, you name it Joel. Excellent. How the hell do you get a mannequin? I don't even know where to
Does that get through customs? Probably not.
Surely they must have bought it here, right?
And then if they bought it here, how do you get it home?
10 seconds to go.
Do they bring it home?
I would hope
They drew
so.
a face on it. I mean, I don't know. I will say back in the early days, I remember when people used to get in trouble for having props on the desk. And now every team seems to bring some kind of stuffed animal, good luck charm, etc. It's nice to have that level of personalization. First round, only 15 seconds in, and Hoven goes for a spawn peek. It's answered with an EE1D by Always. Having the lion burn one of those pieces of the gadget early on, not necessarily great, but if it keeps somebody alive, then it's definitely well.
I was kind of touched a bit on the desk. No Oregon here from Bleed. Clearly a map they've been playing a lot of. Banded out, something that Virtus Pro probably were okay with. But Skyscraper's one that's quite interesting for me, especially for Bleed. They're not the best attacking team and they can get stalled out. In fact, they're second lowest when it comes to planting. Fortunately for them, on the defense right now, and Aspie can get aggressive. Nice little run out from delivery. Catches Dan off guard, and that's first blood from Bleed.
There's a Nitro cell that goes out to slow down Shepard as this tea and karaoke bomb site will necessitate some map control on the other side of the top floor, and that's where Hoven is going to play. Over towards Exhibition and Office. Another Nitro cell goes out, another E1D goes out, and the immediate follow-up as Virtus Pro continues to march onward. And obviously Shepard is going to be the focal point for that with the diffuser in hand. He lost half his HP to the explosive, but Virtus Pro are bleed dry of utility at this point, which means that for the remaining half of the round, which we're just about to hit, Bleed is going to have to engage in far drier gunfights.
Yeah, but really good credit here for Bleed is they've played one half of the game so far, the round in one side of the map. Now they all have moved together, same pace, same unit in terms of the formation, all back towards Tea and Karaoke. So at least they're kind of all singing one tune right now. But Hoven, well, maybe his tune is a little bit off note, losing his life. The Warden, especially someone you want on site, who can stay alive longer, have more of an impact, especially if there's any flashes that come out later.
We saw flashbangs being used early on, all 3 tossed out by Always. Pasha's has 2 remaining, so value for a Warden when that execute comes, huge. Fortunately, he's one of the most integral operators to have during an execute. They won't have that. Another operator whose strength only increases deeper into the round is the Monty. So if Shepard stays on this operator and Bleed continues to lose players, then Monty is going to get stronger. The advance is met by a Goyo canister, and Turdstow will slow them down on the balconies. Always waits out the fire and gets killed for a beautiful shot from Turdstow, who has been excellent so far.
Yeah.
Advantage for Bleed right now. 4v3 with 25 seconds left.
Trying to push up Black Stairs. Aspie gets the initial kill again. Joystick trying to also go for a trade. Eventually got one at least onto Reaps. Makes it a 2 versus 3 time. Certainly a factor. Shepard, yeah, doesn't have that gun, but the pistol can try and do its job. And that's something that probably is required now with lesser and lesser amount of teammates available. Really strong defense from Mentalist on site to stop that very final push.
So the 4 final players of Virtus Pro. One was downstairs inside a restaurant, gets killed on the stairs heading up to the top floor. The other on balcony, dies to that shot from Turdstow. Pushing towards gold from Dragon Hallway is the Monty of Shepard. And then Joystick is in Geisha. So you've got 4 players remaining, all effectively scattered throughout this map. That was the run out from Aspie that you talked about early on. Now, if you're going to have a Monty get into the bomb site, get the diffuser down, usually you want a bit of an escort. Shepard was left to his own vices. And as you can see, Mentalist inside of gold gets the isolated pick on a Joystick, who's all on his own in Geisha. I don't know if you had joystick there solely to cut off a potential rotate from karaoke into the T component, which is where Shepard was bringing a diffuser. But either way, you lost somebody that could have possibly swept in through that through the balcony, exactly where Turst is right now, leaving the Monty all on his own. Joystick is not close enough to be able to help. Bleed just picked them off one by one. Excellent defense from Bleed. I gotta say, that first pick probably paid dividends for him.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's also a big amount of respect shown from both teams towards each other in that opening round. You bring the Monty, makes it a bit more comfortable when you want to push in. Means you respect Bleed. You know they're going to get aggressive, get in your face. The Montagne can then help you get entry onto a map that can sometimes be a little bit difficult to gain said entry. And for Bleed as well, when they all kind of fell back to side, it was like, okay, VP is starting to get a bit of map control. Let's just all move back. Let's just take that fight back towards site rather than trying to get over aggressive. So decent start here. The other thing for Bleed, how often have we seen them at a major international event be able to play a best of 3 in a stress-free environment? They don't have a threat of elimination, and they're not playing in an arena or they're not playing in a major playoff game. It's a BO3 against a really good team, some stakes up for grabs, but it's not a do or die.
I will say, though, as action breaks out, you see some damage already being done to Pasha. You know this team quite well. Bleed strikes me as a team that thrives under pressure. They like to play that spoiler. And as they get under the skin of these teams, they seem to only improve. So maybe they have a bit of a regression if there's no real stakes and don't have that same motivating factor that they have against quote-unquote better opponents in more quote-unquote important games.
Yeah, it's a really good way to frame it as well. Have to wait and see. But so far, they've got themselves again into those kind of aggressive positions 2 rounds in a row. This time, Ashby doesn't find a kill, but he does go for a little peek, a little bit of information gathered. They're on the rappel. He didn't quite catch them in terms of timing. And the time now is 90 seconds left in this round, second round. VP struggling to probably find that early content that they really want to try and get a few kills onto Bleed. We've seen Aspie be able to survive a bit. They've got also still quite a lot of utility remaining in terms of impact canaries and nitro cells.
They droned really early for Virtus Pro, and then after that, they lost a whole whack of their drones. Obviously, Solus on the board, so it's going to be particularly tricky for them to survive. But since then, Virtus Pro has just been doing things on their own. Again, very isolated, very solo play, and they're undoing at the moment. Pasha and Dan taken out by engagements that they had a semblance of where those players were, but ultimately couldn't do much. And it's only going to worsen as we get deeper into the round, and they're deprived of that information. Reap's taking the fight to always. Now there's only 2 from VP remaining, with just a tiny bit of that clock left.